Going live now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday Evening Overdose, April 5th, 2015. Thank you very much for being with us.
Glad we're out of that lousy smarch weather.
Yeah,
Stupid
Smarch is
Smarch.
rough.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Out like a lamb, my foot.
Finally over.
Well, you know what they say
Where's,
about
God.
where's my power supply for this
They get
It's in my
slaughtered.
computer, remember?
No, you can't do that.
I asked you if I could.
No. Yeah, not for... I wasn't listening. Sorry,
No.
you can't. Does that mean you're not going to have a computer now?
No, it's like halfway.
Okay.
I forgot my power supply today because I'm irresponsible.
Holy fucking shit. Matt Geer hanging out with us. Thanks for being here.
Hello.
Again, and Tracy's gonna hang out with us for the first hour. Hello?
Tracy.
No, it's not.
Oh, no, not yet.
Well, where's your mic, Tracy?
Right here, orange one, orange mic.
I'm not getting anything. We'll try to figure that out. Whatever. This is the Sunday Evening Overdose, and we are about to just start things off for
We're
you,
gonna
right?
start things off.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna do some cross promotion here.
It's time. We're overdue for some cross promotion. We attempted to take some promo photos today to share with you guys, and we went out in the woods behind the studio that we're currently in, and we ended up getting a little bit distracted. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, you'll see some of the things we got distracted by. We have the video that we're going to play for our in-studio guest. We have been watching basically on repeat. It's 8 seconds long, and we've probably watched it about 200 times by now.
Yeah, Matt, this is the video that I couldn't play you before.
I am
You guys,
looking.
we posted it on Facebook for you guys. It's on Instagram at Sunday Evening Overdose on Instagram. Check it out. You'll also find a video of
There
us
we go.
enjoying our new hammock.
Nice. Well done, Vin.
What do you guys think?
Oh, it's so funny.
Pretty good.
Okay, so for anybody who hasn't seen the video yet, we climbed a big giant pile of wood chips that's kind of in the middle of a wooded area. For some reason, it's at like a dirt bike track or
Whatever, it's just a
whatever.
no man's
Yeah,
land.
it's a
Welcome to Willow Springs.
yeah. And Vinny found a big giant piece of cardboard. Like
No,
real
it's not
heavy-
cardboard.
What
It's
was
fucking
it?
wood. It's
Oh, is it
actual
wood?
wood. Yeah.
It's like plywood. Yeah.
Oh my god, whatever. I'm trying to surf down a giant pile of wood chips on a fucking old board,
On
and
plywood.
I fall like a big stupid fat walrus, roll down the hill. It's funny,
Yeah, it's awesome. So check it out.
and the noise is the best part.
Yeah.
As I speed up going down this hill. Hold on.
Sounds like a big zipper.
Yeah, it's a good solid fall. And I do, yeah, I and then I roll like one of those fucking Russian, one of those Russian dolls that just opens up, you know, and gets smaller and smaller. Those little round
Yeah.
Russian dolls. That's what I look like. Fat piece of shit. It is pretty bad. There's no disputing it at this point. Sometimes when you see
Nicely
yourself in
done.
a video, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Actually me fucking rolling like a fat piece of garbage. All right, well, that's that. Check out our Instagram. Hit us up over there.
Yeah. If you want to check out the Instagram, we also have a video of us enjoying the hammock that we just put up today in celebration of spring. So yeah, we're going to have some new promo photos for you guys soon too. So we want to talk about, well, Tracy's still here. She wanted to get into this conversation with us. We want to talk about Paul McCartney.
Fall McCartney.
Is that what we're calling it?
That's what you should title this segment because it's fake Paul is the going theory. And then, like I said, I don't know that it's true or not. I mean, but it's a pretty common and old theory now that like
Okay,
the
do you
real
wanna-
Paul McCartney was killed in a car accident. I forget the year. When do they say the year was?
1966.
66. He's in the car with some girl he's dating. They get in some horrible accident, and he's literally his head is chopped off. And the reason that they say that they had to keep it under wraps is because this is at the height of like early Beatlemania. So the whole like state of Britain is involved in this cover up because they didn't want young girls committing suicide.
That sounds like the worst reason
I
for
know,
a come
but
up of all time.
I don't know. It's like it's almost so crazy that it's like it almost could be true though. You know, the crazier, weirder shit sometimes just turns out to be factual.
So you actually buy into this Paul McCartney thing?
I mean, I don't know that I'd go that far, but I do think it's really interesting. I've seen a lot of really interesting documentaries about it, and it's an idea that I think is just good to entertain at the very least. I don't know that it's true or not, like I said, but there's a lot of really interesting and very coincidental at least stuff that points to it, and then, you know, like the backwards song stuff.
So we found it from that article, like it's been going around the internet that Ringo came out and said something about it, but that was completely debunked, right?
Yeah, that
well,
was
that he said that it was true, and he like finally wanted to admit it.
There's also George
Come
Harrison's
clean.
death tapes. That's what I heard recently. And it's like before he died, he like had recorded tape recorded a confession, and it can't be proven or whatnot, but it's in one of these documentaries I saw.
Right,
Like,
but there's no real anything to back any of this up, right?
no, same thing with the Ringo Starr thing. It's like,
yeah.
you know, you can just say shit.
But so what is there to back this up?
Well, first of all, I think we should say that before, shortly before the alleged car accident, they had a look-alike contest, and the winner of it was a guy named William Campbell, who was conveniently an orphan. And they say that's who they brought in to be the new Paul. So,
So they basically told this guy, allegedly, you no longer have a life. Now you're Paul McCartney. Thank God you don't have parents because you could never see them again anyway because now
Well,
you're
shit.
Paul McCartney. Basically, right?
What year was this?
1966.
If you could trade places with Paul McCartney in
Are you kidding
1966, I'm
me?
pretty sure you would too. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
And part of the thing is that he had like reconstructive surgery to look more like Paul and just all kinds of stuff, weird shit like that. And
so why would a theory like this be so persistent?
because of like a lot of the hidden message stuff is like it points to it, you know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that I'd go as far as to say I think it's true, but I think it's really interesting, and it's one of those things where you're just like, could be true though. I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Well,
does
thanks
it?
for reminding me because I queued some of this stuff up too. Some of
cool.
the secret message stuff. Let's check this out.
But the strangest
This is where's this documentary from? Paul is Dead by Jensen Roof.
RUFE.
RUFE. All right.
part of the rumor, not only did the Beatles hide Paul's death, they supposedly planted clues on their songs, with William Campbell singing about Paul in the first person and John singing about Paul in the past tense.
Well, here's another clue for you all.
Yeah, we know this one. All right, what you're hearing here is from Strawberry Fields backwards, and they're saying it says, "I buried Paul." I buried Paul.
To these bizarre
All the backwards stuff is just like EVPs. Like when you're listening to it with the subtitles telling you what you're supposed to hear,
That's what you're going to hear.
But
Yeah.
if you just listen to that without knowing what it's supposed to say, I don't know.
Sometimes it's pretty clear, but that's still, I usually think it's just coincidental.
Then let me see if you guys can pick the other ones out because you can't see this, or you can see the screen.
I
Don't
won't
look at the
look.
screen.
I can see it.
Here, I'm
but I
unplugging
won't
it. Look there, I just
All
unplugged
right.
your screen. You can't see it.
Now I can't see it.
Now, hold on a second. Let's see if you guys can figure these out here.
messages from the White Album heard when playing the song backwards.
Any idea?
It sounded like someone saying
Meow.
meow.
Yeah.
Play the next part though.
That was "Let Me Out."
Let me out.
Yeah,
I kind of hear it.
yeah.
Paul is a dead man. Miss him, miss him, miss him.
Oh,
That
you
one's
nailed
really
it.
clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got that. But you've seen these documentaries.
Yeah,
before.
but that's true. I was about to say I've also been familiar with these.
But
Play
here,
that, wait, play that one again. Yeah,
That one's pretty
that one's
clear.
really clear.
all right. How about this
Ooh,
one?
that one's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
How about this?
Well, I know what that one's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I've
so
heard
do
it
I.
before.
Turn me on, dead man. Turn me on, dead man.
But it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Nah, whatever.
These rumor mongers go on to suggest that the Beatles also planted clues on their album covers, such as Sgt. Pepper's, where a little girl appears to be staring at a burning car. On Abbey Road, George is dressed as a gravedigger, William Campbell, representing Paul, is barefoot, as corpses are typically buried. Ringo is dressed as an undertaker, John as a minister. Meanwhile, the license plate on a nearby VW Bug informs us that Paul would have been 28 if he had lived. On the back of the Sgt. Pepper album, George very clearly points to a specific lyric, Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock, the supposed time of Paul's auto accident.
Blah, blah, blah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Where did this fucking start? Why do people think he was in this auto accident? Does anyone know the origins of this shit or no?
That I don't know.
No, it's probably just one of those things. It just somebody said it and it just gained momentum because it would be weird.
Honestly,
well-
it's probably just completely made up.
And
Yeah.
the rumor didn't really get started until the fall of 1969, so 3 years later. And then it just kind of snowballed from there with people looking for clues in the music and the artwork and whatnot. And then I guess that started in the UK, and then it came over here, and like people went crazy about it, looking for clues and stuff. So,
Well-
but one of the big ones we didn't talk about yet was so Paul McCartney is famously a left-handed guitar player, and post 1966 there are several photographs and video and whatnot of him doing things right-handed. So
Like he switched.
yeah,
Right.
like
But is it just like, here, look, he's holding this clipboard
No,
with his
no,
right hand?
no. And I mean, like, I'm left-handed, but like I catch and throw ball, and like a lot of things I'll do with my right hand.
So
that-
is there actual photographs of him doing stuff right-handed?
yes, there's one. Well, there's one of him playing guitar. Right
Because
here.
if you were a guitar player, it wouldn't be impossible to learn to play bass, especially since like a lot of the Beatles bass parts, or if you were a bass player, because Paul McCartney was a bass player, because we keep saying guitar. But if you were a bass player, it wouldn't be impossible to learn the Beatles bass parts with the opposite hand. I mean, I've played guitar my whole life. I can sit down and play left-handed kind of a little. If I had to take 6 months and really learn it, I'd probably be able to.
Right.
Well, the other thing too is that people who are naturally left-handed also tend to have more ambidextrous tendencies than people who are right-handed. Left-handed people naturally are able to do more things with their right hand, even though it's not their stronger hand.
well, and
Is
I think
that
that's
so?
because
That
you're-
is so.
You're often
So-
encouraged to do stuff right-handed, like when you're a
Right.
kid or whatever. If someone's going to give you a ball, they're going to give it to you in your right hand. Mm-hmm. So
So there
Give it
could
to
be
you
some
in
of
your
that
right
too.
But I can write with both hands,
Yeah, it just takes
like
practice.
legibly. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
So I don't know if I'm sold on this one or not.
No.
well, I didn't
don't know-
say it was true.
I don't know if
just
the
said it's
photo
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. And if it's not true or if there's nothing behind it, why would they leave? Why would they say Paul is dead? Why would they say Paul was the walrus? Why would it persist for so long if there was no truth behind it whatsoever?
Well, a lot of things do. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know.
No, it's interesting though.
Right? It's just wild. Like,
And it's
you never
interesting.
underestimate the power of like idol worship too, and people worship the Beatles.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
they
like-
have a huge volume of work to go through to look for hidden clues and symbolism.
That's the other thing, too, is,
they didn't release 12 tracks that people have been combing. They have hundreds of hours worth of stuff to go through to find, quote unquote clues regarding.
Right. Well, Michael Jackson had a lot of followers. You don't hear people being like, "He's still alive."
some people probably say that.
Yeah.
But you
I
hear
haven't
like
heard.
Tupac's still alive, Hitler's still alive.
Yeah.
Hitler
Hey,
is
Hitler
still
might.
alive.
Yeah,
a lot
Hitler
of people
might still be
idolized
alive.
Hitler.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll still do.
He's alive on the
Yeah.
moon or in
Yeah,
Antarctica.
that's where he is.
He was a vegetarian.
Yes.
That made him a good guy.
And like
Compassionate
me, an
fellow.
underappreciated
Like dogs.
artist. So look out, world.
His poetry was pretty rank, if I remember right, wasn't it?
I've never read any Hitler.
Although it's
poetry.
probably hard. It's like translated to English from German. It might be
Right.
totally,
Right,
Well,
it might be
and
beautiful
also-
in German.
or
No,
it might.
he actually learned how to read and write German from people who were Austrian and didn't have German as a first language. So he read and wrote like a foreigner because he didn't learn from German people.
yeah.
That's why Mein Kampf is so difficult to get through because I know everybody's tried to read it in this room. But there's a whole
I don't
thing
think
in
that'd
there
be-
about
I don't know.
how
A lot
it's
of
not-
people do read it.
Yeah, I read it.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was it
it's,
like?
It's really hard to get through because it's written very poorly. And I learned that because there's a foreword from the person who translated it who was like, look, you guys, I didn't translate this poorly. It's written poorly and you have to understand that because it's so humanizing too,
Yeah, I remember that very same disclaimer.
Yeah.
Thinking like, I've never seen another book that had this. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
book sucks.
It's not my fault. Yeah. But yeah, that's something a lot of people would never really assume about Hitler is that Mein Kampf, which was supposedly so persuasive and such a big deal to his culture and his growth and power, was actually kind of written like a piece of shit because he didn't know what he was doing.
Well, according to my uncle, that not that many Germans were actually all that into Hitler and stuff during that time. You really
Right.
didn't have a choice in your public face, but really, like the way most people felt wasn't like they were not on board with everything Hitler was doing and being like, "Oh, Hitler's awesome."
But
You know?
more they were submitting
Well,
more than
yeah,
that.
yeah, which isn't right, but I mean that's pretty much how it was, and I mean everything
Man,
was
it's
propaganda.
it's mostly the populaces of most countries today aren't really that fucking into what their governments are doing. You
Yeah.
know? Like, so that's pretty common thing. I mean, he was just another, and he was elected too. I mean, he was
No, actually, not exactly. He was chancellor, and
Right.
then due to like a little,
then he started changing laws. and shit,
they
right? Yeah, I
blamed
know,
the
but-
communists for burning down the Reichstag, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
he just proclaimed himself,
1938.
chancellor, and Führer became job in one just instantly. Like,
Well, I know once he got elected into a high enough position, he just started fucking changing stuff around.
but nobody
Yeah.
elected him to be their supreme ruler.
Nobody elected him to.
No, he just took it.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But yeah, again, it just goes to show you like it's not so much different than something that could happen here in an extreme case. You know, I mean,
Yeah, well, let's just look at all the useless laws that they're concocting that were already laws on the books as Indiana, for example.
yeah, we got some updates on that. I
Yeah.
think, right,
Awesome.
Tracy?
Yeah, so there were a bunch of states had instituted travel bans to Indiana when that law was signed into effect.
The religious freedom
Yes.
law, yeah.
And so in the last day or two here, a bunch of states have lifted those because of the pending changes to the law. And like, I guess the governor of Indiana or something promised that they would make it so it couldn't be used to discriminate against gay people. So
what now? There's a special exemption for gay people. Like,
yeah,
I
and
don't-
also
I
it's
don't
the
like that
first
either.
time. No, I don't like that either.
This is all because it's just taking the government's intrusion into our lives to further levels,
Yeah.
more and more, no matter who you want to protect or who you want to side with or rah politics and blah, 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 bullshit, whatever you want to do. Yeah, this is not good. I mean, this is just, no matter what side you're on, this just means at some point they're gonna be targeting you.
Yeah, and it's just going to get more and more specific
Yeah.
and more in your face and more seemingly inescapable. And they're just going to keep doing it. This is the first time in Indiana that the words gay, lesbian, and transgender have been included in legislation. And for some reason, the gay, lesbian, transgender community is seeing that as progress, which seems weird to me.
Why is that weird?
It just seems like they should just want to be included in the general populace and not have
Not be
specific
called out.
exemptions
Here's
for
something.
themselves.
It is strange that. Sorry, 1 second. If it is, I was just gonna say that it is really strange that through like lobbying and I guess like movements, social movements and stuff, people who have like a sexual preference have separated themselves enough as a segment of society that there's actual. Yeah, that's interesting that now they're just being. Really, I get what you're saying because being considered like a separate entity by legal legislation than just regular citizens would be kind of
It's even
the
more
opposite
alienating.
of progress.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say on a form, I think it was like a survey or it was either a political survey or a petition I was signing. But you know how they ask you like for your ethnicity. On it was like, black, white, blah, blah, blah. And it was LGBT. And I was like, that's a race now?
Ethnicity. That's
Really?
incredible.
Yeah.
That had to have been a mistake.
No,
or
I
someone was confused.
It
when
was
they put
listed
that
in the
together.
ethnicities. Like, are you Caucasian? Are you Asian, Hispanic? And it was like, black.
What if I'm
African-American.
Caucasian and gay? Which box
You're
do
right.
I
No,
check?
you're right. I was
Which
like,
one's
that's
more important?
Actually, I recently took a survey and it said, which of the following do you identify most strongly with?
okay.
So then you would have to pick if you identified more with being Caucasian or being LGBT.
All right. Yeah, I guess I could see that. But regardless, the
Rough
point is
choice to
that that they should not see that as a success. It shouldn't be
Well, and the law there's a bill that clarified it that says it does not allow businesses to refuse to serve any minorities. So it's not specifically calling out that you can't discriminate against gays. So I guess it's a little better than that, but I don't know.
So now I'm just confused about what this freedom of religion law has empowered these businesses to do.
It's just made everyone talk in circles
Yeah.
for weeks for no fucking reason.
I'm getting frustrated
but you know
thinking
what?
about it.
That's the whole point. that was what they were after.
Yeah.
In the end, like I said, what's going on the streets of Indiana? What's changed? Nothing. There's nothing different.
Yeah.
There was so few places that had the balls to fucking discriminate openly against anyone anyways that it's like, it's such a fuck. I mean, there's nothing going on.
All right.
Except now some poor pizza
No,
place
wait.
has been
I
run
want
out
to
of
talk
town.
about this.
Oh, the
Not
pizza
true.
place, yeah.
The pizza place. It has recently been discovered that the pizza place,
Memories Pizza, I think.
Memories Pizza, who over this past week gained a little bit of fame because we covered this on, I think, the Thursday show. The daughter of the owner said that they would refuse service to a gay wedding. However, they didn't say they'd refuse service to gay customers who came into the store. And then the owner made some real ridiculous remarks about how he chose to be heterosexual and people chose to be homosexual. Anyway,
And
they
how
got
does
attacked.
any of this reflect on how good the pizza is?
Well, and what gay
Well, hold on.
gay wedding would want to have pizza at their reception?
Yeah, no gay
anyways?
guys are going to have
Yeah.
pizza at their reception.
You know what? But a lot of people do pizza at the end of a reception.
Oh yeah, like
That's
a
like a-
midnight snack.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so that's the story with them. They ended up getting attacked by these keyboard commandos who were sending fake orders in, blasting them on Yelp. Protesters who were standing on the street protesting the establishment. They ended up having to choosing to close their doors. They started a GoFundMe, or somebody started a GoFundMe campaign for them to raise money to help them after closing their business because of this. And then it turns out that they were always intending on closing. And they decided to make these very, very poignant remarks in an attempt to get a rise out of people, become persecuted as religious martyrs, and earn a bunch of money and fame from the act of simply closing down after this bill went through.
Well, it worked.
And it super worked. They have over $1 million. $1.4 million were raised for them.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that's not illegal, right?
No, those were donations.
And you can say whatever you want.
Yeah. And you know what? They didn't. And here's the other thing is that they didn't say because of how the community has reacted, we're closing. They just said we're closing.
They never fucking... Yeah, they never tied the two things together officially. How brilliant.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's what they did?
It's not
That's just what it
proven
looks like,
yet, but that's the direction that has been leaning. I was reading a forum earlier where somebody had found some documents, some public documents from the town that said that they were in financial trouble and they had applied for aid or something like that. You know, it was something that had indicated they were close to closing as it was.
Nice.
So they were like, well, here's a good opportunity
Oh, yeah.
for us.
Memories Pizza.
Good for them, I guess. Yeah.
Great move.
Way to go, guys.
Take advantage of the mob mentality lunacy of this country full of 6-year-olds. Completely just exploited it. That's awesome.
Just put it on the internet.
Yeah.
The rest will take care of itself.
It's like the modern door-to-door, like, Bible salesman, like, scam kind of a thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like, that's legal? Like, I can do that? Like, okay.
Do you know how many people have posted on like social networking about the fucking pizza place and like so angrily? People are just so
Stupid.
ready to just go for blood. In a social sense, like people are just so ready to condemn. You know what I mean? It's fucking disgusting.
Absolutely.
It's fucking disgusting. Condemnation has become a hobby in this country. It's let's wake up and hate the 2-minute hate from fucking 1984 or whatever it is, you know.
How dare you not accept me? You have to be exactly like me. I can't accept that you're different.
No.
How dare you worship a religion that doesn't accept me?
And God, that's the brightest part of so many people's day is typing their little shitty comment about something. I hope this guy gets eaten by a pack of wild dogs. I can't believe he would ever say, you know.
Anytime I like catch myself engaging in a internet comment exchange, I immediately I'll send a comment out there and immediately feel embarrassed. Why the fuck did I put my picture next to what I just said?
Before I just quit that shit entirely, I used to like type comments about things that I actually gave a shit about, and then I would delete them. I would do that for months before I just gave up entirely because I just am not taking part in any of the fucking lunacy any longer.
No, you can't do it.
It's lunacy. That's one of the reasons I started this show. I'd rather fucking talk to people. And here's one thing I found out. Most people are fucking cunts and they won't they're really most people when I've had disagreements online and I've said like, "Hey, would you like to call in and maybe talk about this? It would be interesting." Not one person has ever taken me up on it.
No,
ever.
It's a lot easier to shoot off a clever quip, you know.
And oh, did you know 73% of this? Post an article. Like, shut up, you fucking idiot. Right, and nobody can discuss things on a philosophical level.
Reread, revise, post. Right. Can't have a conversation that way.
I'm always willing to change my opinion, is what I always say. Like, if your argument is better than mine, then like I will change my opinion.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible.
You have to be that way.
Otherwise, you're just an idiot. Like, you're just being like, no, well, I'm right and fuck you. Well, then don't talk.
It's amazing how I think it is too, like the divisive and really just kind of isolating nature of our lifestyle now and how we debate with each other and how we interact on social networking from our dark little caves alone. I think that oops, I should have had that.
Did you guys see the riot in Kentucky because of the sports team? I wish people would get that riled up about shit that matters. That's all I have to say.
Oh yeah, that's a famous one.
I was just like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, no, nobody ever will.
Cops are just killing people and there's like little riots and that's terrible, but then people flip their fucking wig over sports.
Yeah, regularly.
John Black out in Ypsilanti, Michigan is on the phone. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Have you talked about the crazy people in Florida?
That's fake. The people that were selling golden tickets to heaven.
That's fake?
Yeah, it's fake. How could you think it was real?
Oh, I'm so disappointed.
If you wanted to buy a golden ticket to heaven,
No, they're selling them.
You just broke my heart.
There's no way that could have been real. If you read the art, I told you. I was like, that can't be real. No, there was some stupid article going around about people selling golden tickets to heaven that were actually pieces of wood spray painted gold. And they had some
because Jesus behind the KFC told them to.
Yeah, but
Jesus behind the KFC.
Yeah,
is
but
what we said?
It's not real.
Okay. The headline sounded like it could be real, and then the beginning of the story sounded like it could be real, and then the further you got into it, the more outlandish it became. But I guess it was from like kind of a while ago on some website that is a fake news site, and then it got picked up by a lot of real news sites in the last day or two.
I actually, when I first read it, I wanted to check if it was published on April the 1st, if it was like a joke, but it was a day later, so.
Wow.
Man, now I'm really depressed.
I didn't even hear that, so.
You ruined my evening.
I can't imagine that anything you could actually buy from somebody would get you into heaven, though, whether it's spray painted gold or not.
How would you take it with you?
Well, and the article was so stupid. They didn't even try to make it believable. They said that they had like $10,000 and they were selling the tickets for $100 each. Like, there's it was a stupid attempt at it wasn't even good. All right, John, is that all you were going to tell us about, or what?
I don't know. I really wanted it to be true.
Well, the Catholic Church does sell things that get you into heaven, supposedly. I forgot what it's called.
Well, they had there was that history. They used to teach us it every fucking year in school. I forget what it was called too, but it was a long time where they basically just like sold you your salvation.
You could sin and just be like, okay, here's
you know what else sucks? I bought these magic beans.
What is it?
Penance?
I bought these magic
penances?
beans.
Yes, maybe. What do
Wait,
you
I'm sorry,
want?
what?
We're having a talk show here. What the fuck is your problem?
No, you're not. I'll tell you what. Happy Easter, bitch.
Is that it?
And a happy Easter it is.
It's called indulgences.
Indulgences.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
indulgences.
So we have a little more on the Indiana thing. Now, Madison, Wisconsin has introduced a bill that will make it illegal to discriminate against atheists as a group of people, and they are pushing for atheism to be recognized as an official religion.
Well,
Which also seems kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it?
as someone who kind of identifies as atheist, I'm going to say like I almost feel like it's like because
If everything else is going to be
right,
what?
it's like, you know, why leave yourself as the only unprotected group of people?
Well, and I think it's important because religion is a protected class that, the government has established you can't discriminate on someone based on their religion. So in order to get that protection,
Right.
you have to be
So
acknowledged.
that I don't
as
really
such.
that doesn't really rub me the wrong way, honestly.
They are Madison, Wisconsin is officially the first nation or the first city in the nation to add people who don't believe in a deity to the list of protected classes of citizens. So I guess that's kind of cool. But then then that's everybody, right? Either you are a religious person and belong to a religion, or you are atheist and you don't.
That's what I was
have a
about to say though.
religion
Can't
and-
we just treat everyone nicely? Like what the fuck?
No,
You know,
we just-
like-
So we need things like this sometimes.
Yeah.
It just
so
goes
that
to
we
show
can
you-
cite it.
You're right. That's a perfect point to show you how fucking absolutely ridiculous all this stuff is at the core. You know?
everyone's
I mean,
protected, so why not
and
just
that's the whole thing. Like I keep saying, we already have a Bill of Rights.
Right.
You know, like this is supposed to already be taken care of.
They're describing this as it says Madison Council members voted to make their city more inclusive. They're describing this addition to this law as making their city more inclusive.
Nah, why not?
Oh,
Whatever.
that's nice.
Yeah. Good for them. Well, so I don't know. I wouldn't identify myself as atheist, even though I don't identify with a religion either. I guess I wouldn't be protected anywhere because I don't fit into anything. You guys can discriminate against me all
Right.
you want. No one's gonna sue you.
And we will.
You'll get a summons tomorrow morning.
Yeah. You know who I want to discriminate against is Nestle. I've been so mad at Nestle, especially over this past week. Have you guys been keeping up with Nestle?
Wait, who?
Nestle, the
Oh,
The
brand.
evil corporation.
God, I can't believe I
right.
fucked that up. Wait, who?
I want to discriminate against Nestle.
I was gonna say the timing was so perfect. I hit the button before and it was just muted, and I'm retarded. But go ahead. Why? What's with Nestle? Why are they so?
All right. Well, for starters, they're just one of these horrible, evil, giant conglomerate
dude,
corporations.
I didn't realize how fucking giant
No,
Nestle was,
me
because you
neither.
just think of them as like Nestle Crunch bars, pretty
quick.
much. You know, and like I know they pop up. See, I don't eat a lot of fucking junk food and shit anymore. But I remember when I did, you do see the Nestle brand on a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
they are all over.
It's
all over the
everywhere.
place, but-
We'll go over a little bit of that once I pull that list up too.
Right, you
I
were
mean, you'll
pointing
be
out, like,
surprised.
they have a lot of water brands. I was
They
aware
are.
of that.
They are the largest bottled water distributor in the country. They are also the largest food distributing corporation in the entire world.
Are they?
2012 was the most recent year that I could get for their revenue for some reason. $86 billion they took in from food and water sales. Their bottled water accounts for $1.8 million per day. And that's just the bottled water that they produce.
Do they say where their water even comes from?
Yeah, well, kind of. They pull from lots and lots of municipal water supplies wherever they are, basically, and that's one of the things I want to talk about too. They have a deal. This is something I learned today. They have a deal with the state of Michigan. It's a 99-year contract where they have one of their bottling plants. 99-year contract that they paid $70,000 for, not per year, $70,000 total,
Just flat.
so that they can take as much water from the state of Michigan as they can manage
For the next 100 years.
for the next 99 years.
Holy shit!
As of right now,
Wait, and we're also headed. I mean, there's been a drought in California for what, 5 years?
Yeah,
And
we'll
there's
get to
been-
that one.
I mean, there's been murmurs in sort of the back alleys of the underground media and stuff for years about heading towards a water shortage.
Yes.
You know, one day.
Yeah, that's a huge. I mean, that's like.
But I mean, I should have said a nationwide water shortage that could go to like, you know, people always talk about like Mad Max level shit. You know,
water wars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what's happening in Michigan? They paid this $70,000 for 100 years worth of water, and as of right now, at one of their plants in Evart, Michigan, they are pumping 216,000 gallons of water every day for $70,000. That's less than $7,000 a year. It's
And
roughly
I don't even know if
$7,000.
I have like a fucking
No,
way to appreciate how much water that is.
No, I'll find out how many gallons in a swimming pool. But I said when I read that number, I said to Tracy, I can't understand how much water that is. I cannot picture 216,000 gallons.
So where are they what
They're
does it mean
using
the
it-
state of Michigan? Like, where are they getting it from?
They're getting it from local reservoirs, wherever they get their water from, municipal water supplies.
That's got to affect Chicago too, because don't we share Lake Michigan?
Yeah, it doesn't say that it's actually coming from Lake Michigan itself. I assume it is, but it doesn't say exactly. It's just coming from this town.
We're gonna have to wall off the center,
Right, like what?
Yeah.
segment off the lake.
This is our water.
Ew, I don't want the Chicago water though. It's bad. It's so dirty at our end.
Take what we can get at this
Yeah,
point.
I guess you're right.
Just make sure there's no needles in it. You're fine.
But is a
So according to this, there's 660,000 gallons in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
How many? 660,000?
Yes.
So they're using half of a swimming pool of water every day.
doesn't sound like that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for
what they're paying.
$7,000 a year.
I'm significantly less outraged.
Yeah, but that's
don't
just
know. I mean,
that's
how much
just at one plant.
that sounds like a normal water bill to me, because like if $7,000 a year is a shitload to pay for water, like that sounds like you're just running
for a place that makes water.
well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I've never owned a factory or anything, but I mean, I gotta think that they are using up more water than like your house.
And that's just at one of the bottling plants
But
in the
if
state.
you had a pool and you just continuously filled and drained it all year long,
But that's also
You'd
I'd
only
be
have to
putting
do
the
that
water
every
back
other day.
into the earth at some point. They're bottling it and hoarding it.
Now, if you take the math of $1.8 million per day that they're earning from their bottled water sales as a company, that's $657 million a year. And all they're doing is taking a resource that's already available to every person who lives in a town and adding chemicals and plastic to it and then selling it back at a higher price.
woohoo!
Nestle does not use spring water. It all has fluoride in it. It all comes from the same stuff that you're getting from your tap. And they're making $1.8 million a day on it. Now, here's where it gets fucked up.
Right.
Because California is 5 years into a crazy ass drought right now. Really bad.
This is what I want to get into.
Yeah, I'm going to find some pictures to share with our Facebookers of that illustrate how much water California has lost. But Nestle has a bottling plant in California that lands on a Native American reservation,
Right.
which means that they are exempt from local water ordinances.
Yeah, they're sovereign, right?
So yeah,
What's
it's
the
part
place
of
called?
I'm looking it up right now. Morongo Indian Reservation.
And it's like a sovereign nation, huh?
Yes, they are considered a sovereign nation.
I didn't know. See, I can't believe I didn't think of this. I wonder how many sovereign nations there are inside
There's a
the
lot.
US.
I
Are
found
there?
a list, but there's a lot. I'm going to put most, it's over half of the recognized Indian reservations
Are
are
sovereign
considered
nations?
sovereign nations.
God,
yes.
they really keep that under wraps. They
Yeah.
really do not want
Well,
people
they don't
knowing
want you
about
there.
that.
Well, you know, like police can't go there. They have their own stuff. They're
Yeah,
their
but
own
you
place.
never hear that term used.
No.
Because that's such
because
a
it's empowering.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I'll post the list for our Facebookers as well of sovereign nations if they're interested. There are a lot of them. It's pretty surprising.
Yeah, let's go through those a little bit.
So Nestle, we want to do that now?
No, well,
Oh, okay.
we'll get to it.
Can you
I
live
really
on
want
an
to talk
Indian
about Nestle.
reservation if you're not of that tribe, though?
I don't think so.
They'd and if you found a way to, something tells me they'd probably figure out
you
a way to make your life miserable.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we have a friend out in New Mexico who lives on a Indian reservation, and she
works on one.
Oh, she works.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what, like a
So
teacher?
Yeah.
she's what, like an eighth engine or something, or
Something like that, yeah.
and so she gets, she says she doesn't feel welcome.
Well, she said she had a really hard time when she volunteers there with like the children's program or whatever,
right.
like an after school thing. And when she went and she was like, I want to volunteer. And they were all suspicious. Like, what do you mean you want to volunteer? And
Volunteer what?
Right. So she really had to talk her way in there. But they've welcomed her into the fold now.
Can't really blame them for being mistrustful.
Oh,
No, are you
come
kidding me?
on.
Like,
12th time's the charm.
right? I mean, yeah, I'd be like, I don't really think we want your help. Thanks.
White people aren't so bad, guys.
Knock, knock. We've got treaties and blankets. I don't know.
They're fine this time, I swear.
Yeah, seriously, we're good. We're
You look
good.
cold.
Are you guys still thinking about that?
Oh, God,
Still?
get over it.
Jesus
Look how much we've
Christ.
done since then.
I know. Somebody's living in the past.
All right, so
By
Nestle.
the way, nice wigwam, Tonto.
Nestle, which by the way is a Swiss organization, it's a Swiss conglomerate owned by the Swiss, has put one of their bottling plants, their Arrowhead Mountain Water Company bottling plant, lands within the Morongo Indian Reservation in California.
Right.
In California, where the governor has recently announced water sanctions due to the drought.
Yeah, so the citizens of California are being restricted.
They're being ordered to reduce water consumption by 25% across the board.
Does anyone remember when we had droughts in Illinois when we were kids? You probably
Yes.
remember that.
I totally do, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like you could get major fines for using your water on the wrong day and shit.
Right,
You know,
like,
Yeah.
don't use your sprinkler.
your sprinklers, your outdoor
Can't
stuff.
wash a car.
Right, yeah, all that stuff. But so is that the kind of shit that's going on in California?
Yeah, exactly. It's a 25% decrease in water consumption, or you will be fined for it.
But the
So-
faucets at the Nestle headquarters are pumping away.
They
aren't
are flowing free.
So what? They're exempt.
Nestle's taking advantage of the sovereign nation's exemption from local water ordinances,
Mm-hmm.
and since they are within those borders, they don't have to answer to anybody, and they can just bottle away.
So
they are taking.
apparently the Indians are suspicious, but they're not stupid, and
they're not stupid.
They know a good opportunity when they see one. And hey, if Nestle wants to be Native American, I think $3 billion is pretty much that'll buy your Native American status or whatever the fuck they How many guys do you think are involved? So when there's like some decision like this to be made on a reservation, I don't know how their government works, but like I'm sure a bunch of people got insanely wealthy off of this deal, right?
There's no way they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they like you said, they may not be trusting, but they're definitely not stupid.
Yeah,
They knew
yeah.
what they were doing, and they gave
They're not
Nestle the
stupid.
power to do this.
They're not stupid anymore.
Right.
Still, I have a lot more respect for like the Canadian native people who like fought to keep the oil pump, from the pipeline from going through their land and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It's better to be like, hey, fuck off. I would say, keep
All
your
right.
water.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nestle is taking this water, this very, very restricted amount of water that has resulted from the drought. They are pumping it at the same rate that municipal citizens pay for their water. About it says 65 cents for each 470 gallons. And then they are bottling it and selling it at mammoth profits. So they're taking the water
here
that
we've
people
got-
aren't allowed to drink from their faucets, putting it in bottles and selling it.
We've got a foreign company using strange exemptions of the native peoples inside the native people, which we've genocided and taken over and forced onto these tiny little reservations. And then a Swiss company comes in, acts on the advantages of the water restrictions of the surrounding area, selling back their natural resources at inflated prices. This is crazy.
It's evil. It is an evil thing to do.
Why do we live this way?
That's evil. Exactly. That's a beautiful way to put it. That's really
Not to mention,
evil.
Nestle is incredibly wasteful and uses harmful plastic bottles. They don't even use like natural or ethically sourced or safe chemical-free plastic bottles. They just use cheap toxic, cheap toxic plastic and chemicals, and then they put your drinking water in it and sell it to you for more money than the cleaner water would have been.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I know, and it's just the. I mean, yeah, whatever. I just think the absurdity of a foreign company using like the Native American exemption is just. It's just.
The irony's not
It's like
lost.
a joke. It's like a punchline to a really, really depressing joke.
Oh yeah, how does the joke go?
It goes. You already told it.
Oh come on, let's make it into a joke.
Swiss guy walks onto a Native American reservation and says, "Hey guys, I know I'm white, but what do you think about letting me bottle your water?" And they're like, "You're foreign, and we don't mind because you didn't take our land, and now you're gonna pay us for it."
Sure beats casinos, I guess. I don't know.
The sad thing about that joke was that was better than anything I could think of. Good job there.
I was thinking like more like along lines of like, green tongue forked.
I was trying to think of a knock
trying to
knock joke.
think
I was
Right.
trying to think about what do you get when you cross a.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A Sweden and Indian.
All right. So,
All right, so here's a quick list of Nestle's bottled water brands. Most of these I did not know about.
so
But
are these things that we'd like our listeners
you
to
listening-
avoid out there?
all right, we've got Arrowhead, Aqua Spring, Calistoga, Deer Park, Deep Spring, Ice Mountain is owned by
Oh,
Nestle.
dude, that sucks,
a lot of
'cause
people don't know that. Ice Mountain has fluoride in
Ice
it.
Mountain's like the go-to
It's
too
always
because it's
2
like the
for
best,
2 at
the best
7-Eleven.
price.
Has fluoride in it.
That blows.
Yeah. Glacier, Klosterquell, Nestle Wellness, Nestle Pure Life, Ozarka, Poland Spring, Perrier, Pellegrino, Bernardo,
So it's like all
Waterline,
the
and
waters.
Zephyr Hills.
Well,
yeah.
so I was thinking the only other one I can think of is Dasani, and that's
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
And
Yeah.
Aquafina, which is Coke.
I mean, Evian. I think they're owned by Coke now too.
Yeah, I think Evian is owned by Coke now. But regardless, Nestle is the piece of
So
shit. you
that's
need
the
to look
real
out for.
story here is that the water hoarding is already starting. That like the major corporations are way out ahead of us
What
on
about
this.
Fiji?
We'll look into
Might
Fiji.
be safe.
Yeah. I've been on a long time crusade to find good, ethically sourced, fluoride free, and non contaminated portable water. Boxed water is a good option because it's not plastic. However, they just source from local municipal sites, so it's going to have fluoride in it anyway.
What else?
It's
What
not-
else are they? I just wanted to ask real quick, going back to the Indian reservation thing. What else are they exempt from?
They have the status of a sovereign nation, so any local ordinances, state and city councils, basically they're moderated by the federal government. So if anything is imposed on them, it comes from the federal government as an agreement, not as like a force. So sovereign nations are able to govern themselves.
Yeah.
So Nestle being in the sovereign nation technically is in America, but part of a sovereign nation and therefore exempt from any local ordinances.
Are there a bunch of other companies that do this too?
If there are, they are keeping it very quiet.
Couldn't really find
I
anything
couldn't
on
really
that?
find a lot, but I want to dedicate a little more time to looking.
We could make a note of that.
It's not,
for
and
next
you know
week.
what? And I knew this about Nestle, and it was even difficult for me to find the stuff about Nestle. Like,
Okay.
so it's
We might
definitely
have to,
not
we'll
something
have to do
people
a
are
little more.
advertising.
We'll have to do some more thorough research. On
Yeah,
it.
on the sovereign nation end of things, that was kind of an unexpected perk of researching the Nestle thing, is finding out about all the sovereign nations. That was pretty interesting. But man, Nestle, and I mean, we could go into Nestle a lot longer. We have actually Vinny just found out today about when the CEO stated that water was not a human right. I mean, they've made their stance on controlling water and food incredibly clear. The CEO literally released a video where he said water should be privatized. It is not a human right. It should be accessible in exchange for money. And that's the only way that people should have water.
Well, and see but part of the fucked up thing about that is he's almost right about that, because what he's leaving out of that statement is that's the only way that you should have water delivered to a convenient and cold place for you to grab it and happily carry it up to a counter. or maybe that is the only way that it can be conveniently pumped into your house. I mean, part of that statement that rings true to me is we'll never get away from like this corporate and government kind of teaming up against us and enslaving us further and further as we go along. We're never going to get away from this whole process unless we become self-reliant. Mm-hmm. So he might be right about that. Unless he means that they shouldn't be responsible for like contaminating water or infringing on your natural ability to get water naturally if you want.
I have my
and
own
it's interesting
well.
you put it that way too, because they are infringing on people's ability to get actual real water. Well, they're capitalizing on people's inability to get real water in California because they're taking that restricted water, bottling it, and selling it for profit. When if they had just said, you know what, we use 1 million gallons of water here. Let's give that to the city while the drought is happening, and we will lose $0.2 million as a result of it.
Chump change to a company like that.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to help the community, and instead they are using the opportunity to only earn money, and that's pretty nasty too, especially for someone who is that size.
Okay, fine, but the statement itself isn't necessarily untrue because somebody has to go get the water and bottle it up and do all these things that you want if you know what I mean.
Right.
If he's not saying, but whatever. You know what I mean.
But then what happens when they buy up all the land where the water comes from, and the only way anybody can get access to water is by purchasing it in their bottles?
I guess it is. I mean, it's kind of a disturbing.
It is disturbing
view to have, really, but I just mean it might be a cold, harsh reality. Is that either you find a way to be a self-reliant person and get your own water in a way that you can do on your own by yourself, or you kind of are at this point. We've chosen to be at the whim of people like that because we're lazy as consumers.
Well,
you know?
I have my own well. Like, are they going to infringe on people's right to drill their own wells and have well water on their property somehow in the future? Like,
a lot of places.
Yeah, possibly.
I know this because I live in an unincorporated area. I also drink from a well.
Okay.
I don't drink it, but I have access to a well. But in the town where I live, I don't know if it's statewide or what, but in the town where I live, when your well goes bad, because that does happen eventually, you are not allowed to create a new well. You have to then hook up to the municipal system. You may not create a new well. You may use an existing well, and you may not create a new one. And once it's done, and you are just on Lake Michigan water. End of story. No choice.
So, like, when my well starts to run dry, I can't just drill deeper.
No. Well, I mean, you couldn't if you lived at my house.
Okay.
So, I mean, it is happening slowly that people are losing their legal ability to access water on their own. And
Yeah.
and now see, it wouldn't be so
you can't
scary.
collect rainwater.
And they are-
I know they're against that.
The what?
You can't
Collecting
collect
rainwater.
rainwater. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, they're kind of one of those things like Monsanto. It's almost, I guess, needless to make a distinction between them and the government when they can kind of get inside the government and get whatever dirty work they want to get done. So
Another layer of Nestle too that makes them so scary is they are packaging potentially harmful water for people and lying or neglecting to disclose the origins of the water. Many plants have been using groundwater that's been infected by radioactive fracking runoff. Fracking releases a lot of ground pollution, water, contaminated water, radioactivity, things that you don't want to be putting in your body. It's contaminating groundwater in places where Nestle is bottling their water. Now, nobody has proven that they're doing it intentionally, but I will post this link on the page for people. This guy did a study regarding...
So that actually checked out that Nestle might be bottling the
radioactive water.
You're talking about the water that has like the byproducts of fracking. And
well,
whatever,
it's just it's contaminated by fracking water.
Okay, contaminants that are just leaking into the natural water table,
right?
From
into the
rocks
groundwater
below where they're doing all that weird shit.
And Nestle is not innocent either because they use ancient. They're called proton packs.
That's what the Ghostbusters use.
Well, Nestle uses them too, but for evil. And those create an incredible amount of waste that is also contaminating the groundwater, which is then becoming the drinking water for people like us. It's put inside a toxic plastic capsule, and then it's being delivered to your door in your grocery store, and you're drinking it and growing radioactive.
But again, we're there by choice as a
Right.
society. So
yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
There-
I don't
there's
think
a lot of-
think
there's a lot of
anybody would have
coercion.
made this choice and been like, "Oh yeah, that sounds fine." It's just done behind your back, and you're powerless to do anything about it.
Oh,
There's a
I know.
difference.
But at some point, we got to take responsibility and say, hey, we know how many of these companies are fucking us. It's time to be really careful about what we buy. You know, if all the
Right.
people that knew the evils of, say, McDonald's actually didn't buy McDonald's would go away, because
they would.
there's a lot of people that know how terrible it is for you, but just haven't made that click of like, I just shouldn't support it. You know,
Well, McDonald's
McDonald's-
is struggling quite a
No,
bit.
and they have. Well, yeah, they are. But then now they've taken the technique of making very, very minor changes that seem larger and pacify people for the time being.
sure.
Just like everybody always does. Here's one little thing that'll shut you up, and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. So that's what McDonald's has. They've launched a whole new ad campaign discussing how their food is quote unquote real, genuine, and high quality. And
I think I heard they like redid the chicken tenders.
yeah, I heard
Whatever
that
they're
too.
called, their
I
chicken
don't know.
nuggets.
It's been so long since I've had a McDonald's. I don't even have a frame of reference. Also, it's been so long since I've seen commercials. I kind of don't have a frame of reference
Yeah,
for that
me too.
either. All I know is what I've read.
Yeah, I know it's weird just being completely disconnected.
But I
so-
think a lot of people are kind of duped by the McDonald's marketing strategy right now, because the
uneducated and children, basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there was
about
there was a little momentum there for a while. There was a documentary released that many people were talking about regarding 17 ingredients in McDonald's French fries, how chicken nuggets are actually made, things like that. And that got a lot of people thinking and talking. And then suddenly McDonald's comes out with, new chicken tenders. Oh, more natural French fries. Okay, now just don't look at anything else.
Yeah, I've been really disappointed lately. I have a lot of friends from high school and whatever. Their kids are now like 3 or 4, and I've seen a lot of them on Facebook like, "Oh, well, we're going to McDonald's for a reward." And I'm
How
like,
can you-
really?
How?
Why?
That's a
Aren't you
punishment.
paying attention?
Child abuse.
That's what I mean, though, is like there's some point that we have to get to as a society where we have to just say, all right, it's our fault now. We've got access to the information. We've had access long enough. If these things aren't gone, it's really our problem. You know, it's our fucking fault. And you got to know that there's evil out there in the world, and forevermore we're going to have to be vigilant against these people getting back into power if we ever get them out. But it's just a reality, you know. You can't lack vigilance. I mean, you can't lapse in your vigilance ever. There's always somebody waiting to fucking just take over for some reason. I don't know where this comes from. I've been fascinated by that for a long time. Is what is the evil thread that makes it so people aren't just like us and we just kind of want to just be normal and live? You
Right,
know,
like I
mean,
wouldn't want to be president.
Yeah,
Would you? Like that would suck.
Where does
Reptilian
this
DNA.
Where does the lust for power come from in the first place?
It's the reptilian
I've
DNA.
heard that.
You think so?
Here's a question: how desperate would you have to be to eat McDonald's?
Wait, hold on. There's 2 ways to go here. That or the reptilian DNA. Let's pause on that for 1 second. And do you really think it's the reptilian DNA?
I think there is a certain genetic disposition in people who have power and seek power and gain power. People who fall from power, people who are
It is,
scapegoats.
because for those of us who don't and who are a little bit like shy of having power, like if you've ever had to like boss somebody around at a job or something, or
No, thank you.
Yeah, there's certain a lot of us hate doing that stuff.
I've been in that position, and I never like took the power trip out of
Sure,
it. You know,
right,
I'd
right.
just be like,
But it's uncomfortable if you're not that type of person. It's always uncomfortable to have to tell someone what to do or to have to correct someone or like, you know, or discipline somebody. If
Yeah,
I've never been in that
I never had to
position, but,
discipline
yeah.
anyone.
But it's like-
I
but-
was a manager for a couple years at one place, and I never disciplined anybody. The worst I did would be like, "Hey, next time, could you maybe do it the other way?"
yeah, that's how I was.
Yeah.
I'd
So
be like,
anyways.
hey,
Anyway, yeah.
this fucks me over when you do this. Like,
But-
I'd explain why.
I think that there is a long evolution of of a certain type of human being that has occurred since the beginning of time. That is
psychopaths.
the person who seeks power and money, and the person who is aggressive enough and just has that instinct to rise to the top no matter what it takes. I think that there is definitely something evolutionary about it. You don't?
No, I do, definitely. But I just didn't know if you were going to go somewhere else with the reptilian DNA thing, because I'm always up for that conversation. But
No.
anyways.
No, and if anything, I mean, I'm willing to use reptilian DNA as a metaphor, too. I mean, it doesn't have to be literal, but there's something chemical.
All right, I'm buying that.
All right, so how desperate would you have to be to eat McDonald's?
Like a McDonald's hamburger?
Well, I don't know. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
eat
so
what?
this
I'd
is-
eat the fries if I was starving and drunk enough, probably.
This
Yeah.
is the scenario I'm thinking of. Like you're driving, because there's a lot of places in the country where you could be driving at night. There's not a lot of exits.
This is the only time it ever happens to me that I have to eat fast food is when you're on the road. It's 4 a.m. You're in the middle of Tennessee, and it's like, well, KFC or fucking drive another hour and a half. Like, no.
Because I was
I
thinking,
just don't.
if I had to go into a McDonald's, like, would I eat a salad? Like, it would probably be gross, but is that bad?
Yeah.
It's, you know what it is. It's in reality, you know, a lot of us like to think and a lot of us have gotten a lot healthier and whatever, but you know, we're probably still taking in so much garbage that to eat it once in a while probably wouldn't fuck you up that much worse than some other things you do.
I wouldn't want to
but
give them my money, though.
That's
No,
more,
me neither.
that's more why I do it. Yeah.
Also, I don't want people to see me. I don't want a person to see me pull my car into a McDonald's. I don't want the person who
The
works at
press.
McDonald's to see my face. I would never feel good about supporting them.
I'm right
Right.
there.
Yeah,
That's-
like I would say, I think probably 2 years ago, I did get a coffee from McDonald's, and I was like horrified with myself that I was desperate, and there was like nowhere else around.
I will tell you the last time I ate McDonald's, it was after the supermoon party that we had here 2 years ago, I think it was. It was a Sunday night. It was before we started doing the show, obviously. And I had left the supermoon party Sunday night. It was like 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was drunk, and the person driving me was not drunk, and I was being really annoying, and our options were McDonald's or Steak and Shake, and Steak and Shake was a much further drive, and my driver refused to drive me to Steak and Shake. And
Did you cry?
no, I was too drunk, and I was just desperate to eat something, and I ordered a goddamned Big Mac. And I will never have another one again.
Dude, when
For
you don't eat that shit for a long time, because like you'll slip up once and it feels like fucking awful if you go overboard, eat a bunch of food when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Like, it's fast food and you haven't had it for 2 years.
Yeah, and also
terrible.
when you hadn't been eating bread for a couple of months,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was just like I loaded myself up with stuff I never would have eaten anyway, and on top of it, it was the shittiest version of all those things that was available to me at that time as well.
Yeah, well, I would say maybe like 4 years ago, Vinny used to work until like 11 or 12, and the only thing on his way home from work was a McDonald's. It was open late, and he would eat it on the regular, and now it's
And then just feel bad about it, right? I mean, I felt so bad about that 2 years ago. I haven't eaten McDonald's since. I drew a line. I will never be drunk enough again that McDonald's is an option.
Now, when I was used to it, it felt fine. You know,
Yeah.
when I used
Yeah.
to I used to drink fucking corn syrup all day and eat fast food and shit, and I felt honestly fine. You know, I thought I felt fine.
Yeah, until you start getting it out.
It's when you really start cutting things out of your diet that you realize how shitty and tired you used to feel and
Yeah.
stuff. And like it is an amazing fucking thing to just cut some of this garbage out entirely and just make a decision to do it. You know. Tracy, thanks for hanging out. I imagine you're probably out of here, huh?
I am. Thank you. I just want to say one more thing. I looked up Fiji water. It is owned by Justin Vineyards and Winery, so that seems to be
So
a
we can
safe
drink Fiji.
choice. Yes, and that is bottled in
Nice.
Fiji and then shipped to the U.S.
Hey,
so.
all right.
Beautiful.
But there's still gonna be like PCBs from the plastic and shit, right?
Yeah, let's look into that bottle.
Well, you see, I carry a jar of water,
There you go. You got a nice glass
and that's
jar of
my
water. there.
water that's
Yeah.
filtered through one of those zero filters, kind of like a Brita, but even more like,
Better.
yeah,
Can I try some of that in the break?
yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna try some of Matt Geer's water. It's pretty
Hey.
good. We'll be back. We'll be back in 2 minutes on the Sunday Evening Overdose. Stick with us. Going to be a very short break. We got a lot to get to, including some fracking news, right? We're doing the fracking thing at the Santa Clarita or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah, we got one quick fracking story for you. So back in a couple minutes.
Pajamas, you're sleeping then.
What do you mean? Why is pajamas on your mind?
Today I saw like a lot of people in public in their fucking pajama pants, and like it happens all the time. I go to not even at shitty places where you might expect it, like Walmart, where people are scum.
Right.
People only wear pajamas to Walmart.
Well, yeah, you'd think.
It is a little bit it's like, come on, dude, just give it a shot a little bit. It's like, and
It's
plus,
a holiday.
and
Cut
not,
them some slack.
No, I mean, like, but this
happens
is
a
like
lot.
every day. This is an everyday thing. I see this shit everywhere I go, and it just, like I said earlier off air, like, at least in the 40s, you watch old movies, junkies fucking put a goddamn suit and tie on.
junkies were, their tie was a little bit loose, and
Right.
the top button was undone,
Right.
But they were still trying.
You put your fucking clothes on to leave the house. Like, I don't know. It just, that irks me somehow. I don't care if you don't shave every day, like, if you're a man, you don't have to shave every day, okay? But, like, take some fucking pride in yourself. I don't know. It's a despicable, disgusting society we live in when that's acceptable for people to be out in public in fucking pajamas. That irks me more than if they were just nude. Then
I don't know.
be nude.
Dude,
I feel like you're taking this a little personally.
I used to be fine with like going out in pajama pants, and now I feel a little weird about it. I never do anymore.
Yeah, I used to wear pajama pants in public all the time, and I would often go places barefoot too.
Yeah, I would go to high school. I was just talking about that on a show not long ago. I'd go to high school in pajama pants with no shoes.
Yeah.
Like, fucking little scumbag. But yeah, no,
I don't even own pajamas. Like, who buys pajamas? Like, it reminds me of little kids.
Other people buy them for you.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
buy
how
'em.
that's how I got all of mine.
People give them to you, and you're like, more pajamas. All right, whatever.
And then you wear them in public? Like, what?
I don't know, man. It's there's some girls can pull it off. They look all right, kind of cute in their pajama pants, walking around the store.
Yeah, well, there's a time for that. Like tomorrow morning after I banged you. Otherwise, what are you doing going out in public like that?
Get me an avocado in your fucking pajama pants.
I'll make them breakfast. I'm a gent.
I think there's a bigger gray area for females because there's a lot of like sweatpants based fashion that's being marketed towards females.
Well, I don't even
workout
mind
clothes.
sweatpants.
Victoria's Secret sweatpants. Those are pajamas.
Right.
I dare you to go anywhere and not spot a girl in a pair of Victoria's Secret pants.
What irks me when I'm talking about pajama pants are like cartoon printed fucking fleece. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like that. Like
okay, so that's where we draw the line.
Right. Yoga pants, fucking sweatpants, anything you'd wear to a gym, you want to wear that in public.
Pants.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine because you're maybe.
Because I wear stretch pants for pajamas.
I wear girls' cotton leggings like all summer because I hate shorts.
All right, good.
What was going on with that Santa Clarita thing we wanted to talk about real quick?
Well, it kind of tied into our Nestle conversation as well in regards to fracking. Fracking is bad for communities, bad for the environment.
Okay.
Without getting into the science behind everything, it's destructive and it's a high risk, low reward kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't even yield that much oil from what I understand.
Right. Well, they're harvesting gas from rock by blasting it with water. That's the idea with fracking is they blast water into rock and release gas from it, and then they harvest the gas. Yeah, that's what they claim to be doing. But it creates like this ridiculous amount of waste. It creates radioactive water. It's like we saw with Nestle. That stuff contaminates everywhere around it. So Santa Clarita is up for a new deep fracking well, and the citizens are fucking pissed, and I would be too.
Yeah, I mean, people have to be fucking up in arms about this. That's at that point, that's where I probably would just fucking abandon ship. I'd just move. Like, fuck it,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Why am I gonna spend all my time fighting this thing? You want to do it? Go ahead. I'm
It's
out.
not an option for everybody, though.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And you
It's
shouldn't
not an
have to
option
do
for me
that.
either. I
Right.
would just try, I guess.
No,
but,
and
yeah.
you know what? If you live in a valley community in Southern California and it's beautiful and rich and you have a nice life and a nice house, you're probably going to fight to keep that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
As you
California
should.
is notoriously environmentally conscious. Their citizens are, at least, and they have a lot of kind of groundbreaking legislature that is environmentally conscious as well. So it would make sense that this community especially would stand up for themselves like they did. It's over 300 people.
So are they successful or what?
Yeah, they blocked the well from being built. Now there are still appeals to happen, and,
But wasn't
and it
there
can
already
still
like
happen.
water contamination in their town or something?
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I thought we were gonna have a caller who was gonna help us with this one. I just know about the new well that they've blocked. But the reason that they were mad was because a lot of them had seen firsthand how destructive it can be to the environment.
So what can you do? Like when that happens, if you were in your town, hypothetically, what did they do that like other towns could do if they should encounter such?
They assembled in the activities center at the Santa Clarita Sports Complex, and they rallied together to simply block the government from allowing this to happen.
What does that mean?
It was like a town meeting type of thing where everybody stood up and pled their case to
and they made the public
a
sentiment
council.
so clear that the government
Yeah.
couldn't.
But how do you do that? Did they have like petitions that people they all signed and then they sent to the government? Did they get a lawyer to be like, okay, the people of this town are going to sue you if this, or like that's what I mean.
Yeah, I know
It's
what you
it's
mean.
okay if they all get together and are like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, but it's not
then
an
what?
Adam Sandler movie that
Right.
doesn't write the law.
Right.
So what then? Like,
I don't know if they made. I mean, they. I'm
are you
sure
talking
they
about
had.
like a council meeting that this happened, or
Yeah, it was like a special hearing
Oh, okay.
specifically in regards to the drilling of the well.
right?
So
So they forced
they
like
were
a city
given-
council meeting, and
Yeah,
so
they were given a
they forced-
platform.
and they forced a ruling, basically.
Right, exactly. And there were
So there was a legal ruling there then. So that's the answer is like you've seen those YouTube videos and shit where small communities will get up in arms about a thing and they'll all call a meeting at the city council and they'll force them to vote on something or whatever. So I guess that's probably what happened.
yeah. They have a problem with chloride there apparently due to sanitary procedures, and they've been ordered to the Santa Clarita Valley has been ordered to reduce the amount of chloride in their river water. So the solution they were trying to do was to concentrate the chloridated water in like a fracking situation. That's how they were trying to sell this to the people. They were like, "Oh, let us take this chloride water and we'll use it for what we want to do, and it's win-win, and we'll definitely not poison your house and ruin your environment."
right? Yeah, I'd be like, no, thanks, though.
Yeah, no, I
Jiminy
wouldn't.
Christmas.
I can't imagine anybody being.
All
like,
right, so but
No,
there you
it's-
go.
But it's
So-
not, but it's not over yet. I mean, they blocked this ruling, but corporations are big and powerful and moneyed, and I'm sure they'll have a chance to appeal. And
and buy more politicians.
yeah, but it's a good example of what you can do if you care about your community and if you're willing to get your hands a little bit dirty,
Right.
or
All right.
if you're willing to try.
So that's what's your options are. Fucking get in the streets and get something done, I guess.
Right.
So we wanted to talk about some crazy shit about Filipinos.
Guatemalans.
No.
Oh, Filipinos. That's right. We do want to talk about some crazy Filipinos.
Their hot
Yeah.
little bodies.
We haven't talked about it much yet, but today is April 5th, 2015.
We had
It's
this
Easter.
we had this argument on the show one time since Matt Geer mentioned that. Our former co-host had said that there was like no hot Filipinos or something.
Not
Remember
true. Not
yeah,
true.
that
was an
sounds
insane-
right.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I I pulled up
Then we were
many
looking at-
images.
Yeah,
All, and
way.
all we did was search Google images for Filipino girl, and they were just like
And they were all
fucking
hot.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just- yeah.
I
they
lost
do
my
have that-
virginity to a Filipino girl.
They have that very sexy, like, pouty lip thing going on. You know, they've got a nice, like,
They're slutty as hell.
are they?
Well, the ones I knew were. I don't know. I can't, speak for the race.
Filipinos
on
are
a whole,
good-looking
but-
people in general.
Yeah.
And
They're
they're-
nice and neat. And
their
and,
culture is
like,
kind of effeminate,
you know,
too.
They're like, I don't know, they're well put together people. They're like little animes.
She was very small. 2 years older than me, but very small. Very
yeah.
small.
I admire a good Filipino.
Indeed.
What did
Well, you may admire these
They
Filipinos.
make very hot lady boys, too.
do they?
Yes, there's
A lot of
many
those-
hot-
yeah, a lot
that's
of those,
kind of
like-
what I was going to get
okay.
to when I was saying that that their culture tends to be kind of effeminate. That even a lot of the boys are very pretty.
Sure.
They make very pretty girls
Oh, yeah.
themselves with very little transformation. Anyway, so these Filipinos celebrate Easter every year by taking volunteers to be crucified. And they crucify as many volunteers as they have, as rapidly as they need to. And they actually nail people to crosses with real nails and leave them up there. And one guy this year, he apparently holds the record. It is his 23rd crucifixion in a row.
That's masochism at its height.
And they're actually nailing people through the hands and feet.
Yep.
I'd want to see that.
And then
Wouldn't
when
you
they're
go?
taken down, they have like a team of paramedics on site so that when they're taken down, they're treated by medical professionals.
And they
I'd
do
go.
this on Easter.
Every
obviously.
Easter.
Fucking goddamn it.
I was just
Yeah.
saying to Eric, my friend.
Oh,
Eric,
I'd
the other
watch it,
day,
dude.
Yeah,
If that
I'd
was
love
going
to
on,
see public executions.
If that was
and
going on
shit like
within
that
2
again.
hours of me, I'd drive and watch guys get nailed up, just fucking get drunk,
There-
watch 'em.
Fuck yeah.
There is a video for this. There's not a lot of audio, but it does have some visuals. If you guys want to put it up, I'll put it on the page for everybody on Facebook. If you guys want to take a look at what we're
Cool.
talking about.
Should I pull it up? You guys want to check it out?
I would.
Yeah, let's look at
Give me
it.
1 second.
So, I mean, how fucking... Do you think these people have this kind of prehistoric thinking in other aspects of their life? Do you think they have like a lot of incredibly ridiculous, outdated traditions that they just hold on to because it's their culture?
Oh.
It's
Or
hard.
does this
I don't know.
Seem
because
isolated.
I've met like really dogmatically religious people that then seem intelligent in other ways and like are enlightening to talk to and stuff. It's a weird thing because it's hard to imagine anyone, doing a lot of this stuff that is like so whatever.
It's
just
like they have
really-
a blank spot in their brain that doesn't allow them to question just this one thing, this one aspect of their life.
even
has
if they're
to be
intelligent in many
Right,
other ways.
right.
It's like, yeah, I know, I don't really want to say who, but I know a few people who I'm like pretty close to who are really intelligent people. And then when we skim across religion, they'll say things that I feel like only a child could say, and I'm like
angels.
how can you be
and
the same
stuff.
person that can that can talk to me for the past 2 hours and seem so refreshingly intelligent on so many topics, and then all of a sudden Jesus was really resurrected.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and then have this like real, and you ask people like, well, you don't literally think that, do you? Like, yes, I do. I'm like, why? It's
Yeah.
it's
It's been drilled in.
it's such a strange thing that people allow themselves such a half standard for like intelligence and behavior when it comes to just religion.
They're
It's,
brainwashed.
you think
It's,
that's all it is?
I think it could be,
It's
but
indoctrinated.
Oh, are we?
to the
What are you
child.
watching? Is this some of the fucking Filipino stuff?
Yeah, this is one of the videos that's on the page I just posted. There's actually a note here, Vinny. I don't know if you saw it, but you have to use the link anyway. You don't have this video.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys want to follow along, look, there it is happening in real
Yeah, I
time.
can
They
see
are
that.
raising
God.
this man on a cross.
Holy shit!
That looks great.
And you know what else? It kind of looks like this person is filming this secretly, doesn't it? Look, the lens is partially covered.
Yeah,
I wanna be
it could
dressed
just
like
be
a
that there's-
Roman.
it's
It could
really
be that they're
sunny and-
stupid.
Yeah, that too.
Maybe it's really sunny out and they're
Right.
blocking the sun. But yeah, I want to be dressed like a Roman. And
Yeah, you wanna be
nailing
one of those guys?
Yeah, I want to be one of those guys that gets to nail them and
Yeah,
dress
there's
like
a bunch of
Roman.
guys wandering around like in like Spartan headgear or
I mean, doesn't
Trojan
that fuck up
headgear.
your
What are those?
like your hand bones? Like, doesn't that go through your hand? Do they go between
Goes
your
through your
like?
wrist.
They go through your like. Where do they go? Where
They
do they
must
put
go
it through?
It goes
through
through
the
the, wrist.
bones.
No. Look, it goes through the underneath your wrist through the bones of the
then
ulna bones.
How does that not fuck all your shit up permanently? Like it must.
It just passes right through these two bones.
No way.
Yeah.
But then it's got to.
It would rip through your hands.
It's got to
There's
sever.
Nobody was
That's
ever
what I'm saying.
crucified.
No. These guys
Okay,
look.
okay, right.
I
But-
can see in my video. These guys are through the hand. These guys are.
But they
clearly
have
through the hand.
ropes.
They have ropes. Yeah. Well, they're
They have
not.
ropes,
I
okay,
mean, they're
so, yeah, they're not
supposed to
supporting all their weight.
survive.
Yeah,
You know?
But real crucifixions. Were
Also,
through
look,
your
he's
ulna
standing on a
bones.
platform. Look, they have a little platform they're standing
But
on.
still,
too.
like,
still,
oh, God,
no.
it's
They're
like-
cheating.
They are cheating.
How did? Fucking Christ.
I mean, I could time
Debunked
myself.
Filipinos.
I
You're
could tie
cheating.
myself to a cross and stand on a pedestal too. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily crucified.
Yeah, well, they do have nails through their hands. That's something.
Yeah. So their feet aren't done.
No, look, they're tied, but look, they're standing on a little platform.
Pussies.
Do they at
And
least
they-
get a beating before?
I don't know. This guy has blood on him, but
That's
do you
why
think
I
it's
asked.
real?
I don't know. Where's that thing where they whip themselves in the back and walk through the streets and like lash themselves all furiously all fucking day? That's a Christian thing too. There's a lot of just Christian masochism,
So
isn't there?
weird.
Yeah, they're oppressed.
What do these people get out of this? They must, because like there must be an anticlimactic thing. Like when you go through all of this, if you're one of the guys that gets nailed up there, you must kind of go home and you want people to like congratulate you for that for weeks, and it probably dies down really fast, and you're just walking around your apartment like
It's like
calling
20
people
minutes
like,
after you get off the cross.
What are you doing? Oh, nothing. You know, I'm
Not
just
masturbating.
I gotta change my bandages from when I was crucified the other day. Like, oh, right.
Yeah, why did you...
How was that? Oh man, you're never gonna. It was a life-changing experience. I gotta tell you. This guy's just manufacturing the significance of it afterwards.
They're
Like,
like, okay, well, I gotta go, man. I'll talk to you later.
yeah, I don't really care.
Look, people are
good.
just taking pictures of these guys with their cell phones. Like, this hardly seems like a super sacred ritual anymore.
Right.
There's a
you know?
there's a guy in a this is the absurdity. I hate grown people in costumes. Like, look at that fucking guy. He's got a Roman costume on and he's holding up a cell phone, taking cell phone pictures. Just stop it. Take your stupid costume off.
Pick a lane. Ew, look, there's a good shot of the nail through his hand, though.
Oh man, he really has a giant nail
I
through
mean,
his
that
hand.
is really in there.
And that guy is one stoic motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
If you guys didn't catch on, check out the Sunday Evening Overdose on Facebook to check out all these videos with us as we go.
Yeah.
There's that suspension hook shit though. That's even more brutal than that. Like you said, there's only 2 nails in their bodies. There's those people that hang themselves by multiple hooks in their backs and shit.
Yeah,
they
but
claim to
that's
get a high from that.
that's more like a meditation. You know, you get into
Right.
like a meditative
Well,
trance.
maybe these guys are getting something like that.
It could be. It seems more like weird religious propaganda.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's
like
just-
a self-righteous.
No, I
it doesn't
agree.
seem
I'm just
genuine.
saying, like the only thing I can, that's the only.
Look
like,
how much I love
silver
my
lining.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of articles about like the real meaning of Easter, blah blah blah. Do we need to talk about it?
No,
it's like,
you know, I looked
of
into
course,
it a little bit.
every Christian holiday comes from an earlier pagan celebration. We all know that, right?
Right. And I feel like we kind of really dove into this conversation with Christmas because obviously Christmas came from pagan roots as well. And as I was kind of reading into Easter, it's a lot of the same ideas.
It's the same
pagan
shit.
rituals, rituals regarding nature that have over time been translated as Christian just because they say so. But no,
Well,
it's all
oftentimes throughout history it happened because like certain times and certain places people wouldn't be attracted to the church. It was no fun. It was depressing. It was blah blah blah. And the church would have to adopt holidays to get people in there. That
Right.
that
Yeah.
happened a lot with Christmas. I guess we were talking about is like, that was one of the only ways they could. And when it got into modern times, that was the only way they could keep people coming.
Or
Right.
through fear as well. That stories of hell. Hell wasn't even in the Bible until medieval times, and then they were like, okay, well, we got to keep the people entertained. So that was part of it. Frightened and entertained.
Hell wasn't in the Bible until
No, not until medieval
the King
times.
James version.
Yeah,
Or-
it was like not described or anything.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
No, check it out. I mean, the idea of that kind of a hell that like we think of now when you think about like Christian concepts of hell, that was added in until medieval times because there was no TV. was part of it, so that was always more fun to hear about different tortures and that, hell's going to be so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's good to have people be afraid, like if you don't give the church money, you'll be doing this,
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's all the
Those
basics.
are your only options.
So anyways, that's what we got with Easter is the same old bullshit. Did you want to fucking go over any of it? Or?
Nah, it's not that.
Really?
I mean,
even little kids are like, well, what's with the Easter bunny?
Yeah, what it... Never
fertility.
mind. I don't even want to get into
No,
fertility.
I mean, yeah, but that's what I mean. Even little kids are like, wait a minute, the rabbit, what? Like, Jesus.
Here's the thing. When we did our piece about Christmas, I learned a bunch of stuff that I didn't already know. And in researching Easter, everything just seemed obvious. And it's not, I mean, whatever.
I already
a very
forgot
minor
everything about
holiday.
Christmas, too. It's not like we're going to retain any of this
Yeah.
bullshit. Fuck it, who cares?
Fuck you guys. We're not talking about Easter.
Guatemala victims of U.S. syphilis study still haunted by the devil's experiment. Johns Hopkins. What's Johns Hopkins University, right?
Yes, university.
I think I never knew how to say that. Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins. Yeah, it's fucking stupid to say. I've been mispronouncing it all day.
All right, so we got a lawsuit, which also names the philanthropic Rockefeller Foundation, which is often, the Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, a lot of stuff like that is what people say funnels money into like
Eugenics.
black ops and clandestine ops and shit around the world. And eugenics, of course, too. But I mean, even worse, like a lot of times these things are CIA front groups to give them money for what they need to get done.
I think eugenics is important to note in relation to the Guatemalans, though. Because what they did was without these people's knowledge or consent, they infected them with a variety of STDs and then injected them with penicillin to see if that would work.
A variety?
Yeah, mainly syphilis, but they tried a number of things over a number of years.
This is similar to like the Tuskegee thing, right?
Yes.
Am I remembering that right?
I think so. Here,
Yeah.
I'll fact check.
Yeah, that
you.
was like chlamydia.
Right. Yeah. But so this time in Guatemala, there's now a giant lawsuit, huh?
There is. They are suing for $1 billion with a B. $1 billion.
Who's suing? A little class action thing?
Yeah, it's the citizens of Guatemala who were affected. Now, this was a long time ago. It was in the 50s. There are very few survivors.
No, Tuskegee was syphilis too.
Oh, okay.
What I'm seeing here. Sorry, go ahead.
There are very few survivors that were actually victims.
This
now
is
they
the same
tended
fucking
to
thing, basically.
they tended to prey on children, like orphans, and the mentally ill, as well as people who were just unsuspecting and susceptible.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
and obviously, none of these people had any fucking clue.
No, they did not. They did not disclose what they were doing. The people never agreed to it. They were never made to understand what was happening to their bodies. They were just subjected to it. And what's really fucking creepy about it is the mentally ill, mentally retarded children, orphans. That's what makes it creepy. If they were just like, here, adults, come consent to some mysterious thing, that would be one thing. But they literally went to an impoverished place and took advantage of weak people who couldn't defend themselves and had no one to stand up for them.
But they didn't take into account how fast the internet is spreading and empowering people, and you know what I mean. 20 years ago in Guatemala, you probably could get away with something like this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because like without the ability to quickly spread and disseminate the information to anyone who would give a shit or have the power to, to get people interested in it, it's like how much of this shit over the years just got completely fucking covered up. Imagine how many tiny little countries around the world where these little studies were happening. There's a creepy thing in here. The lawsuit asserts that a researcher paid by the Rockefeller Foundation was assigned to the experiments, which he traveled to inspect on at least 6 occasions. So they just had their overseer fly down and make sure they were fucking torturing people, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Right.
on a large enough scale.
What could the point of this have fucking been?
I would assume just to perform medical experiments on human subjects without.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess
Protest.
they figure if they can come up with some way to cure this, that they can make billions or whatever.
Yeah, or if they can just learn how to control a disease better, they can use it to control an infection and ultimately a population.
Right, or create it and then control it.
Use it as a weapon.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that people would research horrible diseases on human patients.
So the experiments, says this article from, where is this from, by the way?
I've got one here from E-News PF.
E-News PF, whatever.
And then The Guardian also covered it.
All right. So they happened between 1945 and 1956. Kept secret until they were discovered in 2010 by a college professor, Susan Reverby. Oh, wow. So, yeah, I didn't realize this was this old. And so yeah, of course, back then they had no fucking way. Look, nobody heard about it.
No.
You know?
How was anybody going to know? It's taken this long for it to come out. You know?
Orphans, prisoners, mental health patients. That's the kind of shit they were doing.
Yeah.
That's what it says here. The plaintiff's case quotes the correspondence from one of the program's lead researchers who tells another doctor that if it were discovered by some goody organization that the program was testing people who were mentally ill, it would raise a lot of smoke. The manager continues, I see no reason to say where the work was done or the type of volunteer.
Not as covert, or I mean, they're not as in your face these days, but they still do that. They're doing it to us right now. We just don't know it. Like, it's really goes back to watching what you eat and what you buy and whatnot. Even detergents can cause cancer. Like, if you use detergent that's like super dark blue and has a lot of perfume in it, like it's got cancerous shit in it, and just having it up against your skin, you're absorbing these toxins.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and chemicals are in everything, but that doesn't mean that people should run around the world injecting them.
Oh
into
no,
people.
I'm not. I'm not condoning that. Please don't take as what I just said.
No, and I hear what you're saying, but there is something just incredibly sinister about going to a community in a foreign land. And first of all, labeling people as volunteers that you're subjecting to medical testing without them even knowing about it. I mean, it is like a particular brand of sinister and disturbing that to make something like this a success on such a large scale for such a long time.
Right.
It does not bode well. And this was 50 years ago. I mean, the internet is a thing now, and people are able to talk more now, but at the same time, security technology has advanced too, so they could keep even larger secrets for even longer at this point.
God damn, there's some creepy stuff in here.
Yeah, there is some creepy
Prostitutes
stuff.
were infected with venereal disease and then provided for sex to subjects for intestinal transmission of the disease. Intentional. Did I say intestinal?
Yeah. Yes.
Intentional. Subjects were inoculated by injection of syphilis, what is that word?
It's syphilis.
Spirocheides into the spinal fluid that bathes the brain and the spinal cord under the skin and on mucous membranes. Yikes. A woman from the psychiatric hospital was injected with syphilis, developed skin lesions and wasting, and then had gonorrheal pus from a male subject injected into both of her eyes.
What the
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, you
What
tell me
the
that's not
fuck?
evil.
And like, what knowledge can you possibly hope to gain from that?
No, dude, this is the
How
history
long
of
is
our
she
fucking.
gonna scream?
I mean, this is
after
Right.
she realizes what we did.
This is the history of the ever fascinating psychiatric and medical industry in this country,
Well,
of just fucking
yeah.
torturing until they can't do it anymore. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
why so many things?
Well, I mean, like, it's like, I understand science sometimes has to be cold. Science sometimes has to just be like, okay, but you can't have emotions and take this into account. We're doing this to
Right.
find this out. Okay, I'm willing to even give you a little leeway on that.
Sure.
But there's you're just torturing someone and doing the sickest thing that you can come up with. For what good fucking reason? Like, that's ridiculous. That's torture shit. Like, you're not learning anything. Wow.
No, it's terrifying, and the fact that an American university and a name as large as Rockefeller is attached to this is, I mean, it's the scale that bothers me more than anything. I mean, I understand what happened to the community is horrific and to the individuals is horrific, but it's the scale on which it had been allowed to happen and the length of time that it went on.
How many people again?
So scary to me. Well, currently the lawsuit names 744 plaintiffs.
God damn.
Do
Here's
they-
another
do they
one. Wait,
say that there's
the
any-
penis of male subjects were scraped and scarified.
Oh my God.
And then coated with emulsion containing syphilis or gonorrhea. An emulsion containing syphilis or gonorrhea was spread under the foreskin of the penis in male subjects as well.
Do they say if
Help
they
all of
actually
these-
learned anything?
But
out
you know
of
what?
this?
The doctors that were doing this are all fucking dead or 90 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're dead.
I mean, that's the nature of this stuff. It always comes out much, much later.
Yeah.
Do they claim to have gotten any useful information out of any of this shit?
No.
Because I mean, all right,
I don't think that anybody
even the
has-
Nazi death camps, we did get some useful information out of that like was used.
Oh, right. I know. Like, for instance, how many Jews you can fit in a freight car.
No, I mean, but like we supposedly did gain some knowledge from that. Like it wasn't all.
answer depends on how
most
long
of it
you starve
was
them for
terrible.
first.
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Japanese that did all kinds of crazy shit during World War II.
Yeah. So this shit's fucked up.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I find the most bothersome about everything is that these people are suing for $1 billion between 774 plaintiffs. They clearly deserve a lot more than that if what they're after is money. And they're absolutely not going to get that because what's going to happen is they're going to figure out a way to settle outside of court for some much lower amount. And then everything's going to get swept under the rug.
The Rockefeller Foundation issued a response
Oh, yeah?
to the claim. Yeah, it described the claim as seeking to improperly assign guilt by association in the absence of compensation from the United States federal government. The statement continued, in the absence of a connection to the Rockefeller Foundation, the lawsuit attempts to connect the foundation to the experiments through misleading characterizations of relationships between the foundation and individuals who were in some way associated with the experiments.
So they're saying they
Could be
didn't
completely-
send a representative?
They didn't really say anything.
No,
there. They
it's
just-
gibberish.
It went in
Yeah.
a circle. Yeah.
A spokeswoman
Here are
for
words that mean leave us alone.
A spokeswoman for Bristol Myers Squibb declined to comment. That was the pharmaceutical company that produced the penicillin that was provided for the studies. Sounds like the typical shit. So
Yeah.
so the Rockefeller Foundation has been around that long, huh?
Yeah.
But
They're
yeah, so
everywhere.
they if you go into this article, there is a link to the detailed Rockefeller Foundation response. If you want to read that, I really don't.
I'll share it on the page for everybody. What so I learned all about that stuff this week, and it bummed me out.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen with the lawsuit? I imagine, like you said, it'll be settled, and they'll shows like us will talk about it, and that'll be about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's exactly what I think will happen. I
Is there
think
any
these
other
people
possibility?
will. I can't imagine.
But we should be more concerned
a
with-
countersuit for libel,
Right.
And then they'll just own the town, and then just spray them with Agent Orange and call it a day.
that is the scary thing about organizations that powerful is that they might just come back at you so hard, with some kind of fucking legal twist that you can't get out of, and like you said, sue you for libel, take the whole thing, whatever the whole thing is. But
Yeah.
So what else?
Oh fuck! What is this?
Because the cops are here. We got the police news. I like this thing. A new project collects the names and photos of all people killed by cops in 2014.
I like this too. It's
It was only a matter of time before somebody thought of doing this, I guess. Michael Brown and Eric Garner were far from the only people who died during blah blah. Why does every writer have to be so terrible? What is this article from? Find that out real quick. Let's see. The Carry Their Names database, in the words of the creators, is an unbiased look at all those who died in an incident with police. The project's website includes the name, age, and photo of all victims, as well as a link to a media source describing their story. We tried our hardest to use photos that were provided for obituaries or media as opposed to mugshots. Kate D. Batista of Carry Their Name said in an email. As for photos that mislead who the individual may have been, again, we tried our hardest to not use those photos if others are available.
I like that they use the word victims.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of what you have to start doing is shifting the language. You know,
Yeah.
language is so fucking powerful.
That's what I mean.
That's one of the biggest parts of like the anti-police movement is start referring to them what they are and start referring to us what we are. What else about this thing, Andrea? Did you get your computer back up or no?
Yeah, it's going. This is from truthvoice.com, which we've used before. We like them. But it's I'm going to post this link for everybody. It is a really interesting thing to look at. It's a more powerful message than I think words have been able to convey.
What I like, they break the names into different categories. So there's all kinds of like categories that have to do with either the circumstances that got them involved with the police or like things about their character or whatever. But
Right.
the one interesting thing is most victims fall into, let's see, this says most victims fall into more than one category. Killed off by a police officer, suicidal, veteran, blah, blah, blah. All right, so here we go. The largest category is struggling with mental stability, which includes 24% of the total fatalities. They define this category as those who struggle with mental illness or addiction, as well as any who were acting distinctly out of character during the incident. So this is probably people during like, you see a lot of YouTube videos of people having obvious emotional breakdowns and being completely irrational, and you see like, wow, they should all back off for a second and try to let that guy calm down, and maybe in 10 minutes he'll be rational and or something, if he's not directly hurting anyone, just people freaking out and oh my God, my son's suicidal, 911, we'll show up and kill him, no problem.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what that is, I guess, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
How many videos have you seen where you just think like, dude, just leave the guy alone for a minute,
Yeah.
know? Stop crowding around him with your guns and he'll probably stop freaking out,
I can't watch the cop shooting videos anymore. I can't take it.
There's a lot of things we don't cover on the show because I just don't want to fucking talk about it. A lot of pet killings,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah,
Agreed.
especially. But I've just formed the habit of avoiding stuff where people actually die. That bums me out. Every once in a while I accidentally watch one. But I can't fucking take it. I can't handle how irrational and how avoidable it always is every time.
Well, every time they seem to escalate it. Instead of trying to
Yeah.
take things down a bit and cool people off, it's like they go in there with their authority fucking dick and
I will
start
exert
pushing it
force until you are calm.
Right. That does not calm anyone down.
No, but these
No,
are,
that's not their job.
Nor does being maced or tased or shot.
24%.
You don't say.
Yeah. I mean, that 24% is a really startling number. A quarter of these people who probably could have been just fine if the cops had said, all right, man, sit down, take a breath. We'll figure this out.
Or just if they had just fucking went away.
Yeah.
Or if they had just gone off in the woods and shot themselves in the mouth. It'd be the fucking better option for everyone.
Yeah. Now, the site's creators have asked people to come forward. There are 4% of victims who are currently unidentified and not represented on their site. So if anybody knows anybody who wants to get their friend or family member up on this site, if they're not already, they are looking for these people. And that's interesting too, because cop murders are kept track of so unprecisely. It's astounding. I mean, the amount of research that these people have to have done in order to account for all of the cop killings that occurred in 2014.
It's no accident.
Hold on, 125 of these killings came as a result of welfare checks, where they just like show up to check on somebody's well-being, and they act erratic, so they kill them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's 125 of these.
I mean, it costs money to like get anything basically from the police, like on God, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my thought here. Like, I wanted to get my dad's death certificate, right?
Sure.
From right here in Willow Springs, because we could talk about this some other time. There's some kind of, my father committed suicide when I was 6, but I have recently started to question the story I've been told about that, and I wanted to read the actual like police reports and all that shit on his death. And like, they wanted money for me to read that shit right here in town.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have free access to that.
What did you question?
Well, I just like I said, I just want to read the police reports and see the death certificate.
Yeah.
And each one of those requests costs like $25. And when I asked why, it was because, well, somebody has to go get that. But isn't that their job, to go get a file if you work in the office? Isn't that what we pay these people
Yeah.
for?
Isn't that the whole purpose of this fucking
I have
building?
to pay.
Yeah.
So basically, I have to bribe them in a way
Yeah.
to get.
to give you stuff that you're entitled
Well,
to.
dude, if you ever go through any legal trouble, you'll get the breakdowns of like what you actually pay for and your fines and stuff, and you get itemized receipts if you ask for them sometimes and stuff, and you'll pay $35 for document handling, $80 for document storage. You know, it's like all this bullshit. Like they'll get you every fucking possible way that they can.
But I just want to read a fucking police report. You know,
Right.
From
Yeah,
fucking 1985. That's
What-
not that far ago. Like, I'm sure you
Yeah.
assholes can dig that up. And if you can't, what the fuck kind of a shitty town are we running here where
Yeah.
you don't have like police reports from when people died? Like, and not even like died of old age. Like, I don't know. In the very fishy circumstances, I don't know. That's
Can we get into that a little bit or what?
If you'd like to, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to. Can we start with like what is this basic story?
Yeah,
What-
let me start you from the beginning. Okay, when my dad was a teacher, and a really talented guy. At the time when I was 6 years old, he was. I'm not sure if he was. I think he was actually married at this point to a second wife now.
So him and your mother were separated.
They were split, yeah, very recently. And this woman's name was Sarah. And he was married. I'm pretty sure they were legally married to her. And, you know, occasionally on weekends, from my vague childhood recollections, I would go and visit them. But when I was 6, my dad committed suicide and he shot himself.
Was he? And while he was still with this,
While he was living with her. Now, her brother was a Willow Springs policeman.
what was his name?
I don't know his name. Like I don't. I'm just telling you what I
Well,
know about it. And when I tried to find out more, they wouldn't fucking let me know.
That's very interesting because the Willow Springs Police Department covered up some very famous murders in the 80s.
Okay, well here maybe my dad's one of them because I don't know. It just seems fishy. Like he was an alcoholic and maybe a depressed person like his like his younger son. But you know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems weird. Here's what happened. His body was moved. The gun was moved. The cop that is her brother was supposedly on the scene for an hour before any ambulances or anything else showed up. She didn't call the police. She called her brother first, and he came.
And the gun was moved.
The gun was moved. He was moved.
And this was in their home that
In their
this
home.
happened? In Willow Springs.
Yeah, where that brewery here in town is now
So
under the
for
bridge.
people out of town, we're talking Willow Springs, Illinois, right outside Chicago. Yeah, under the bridge over by.
There's that brewery.
Yeah,
That's where my dad's house used to be. They ripped houses down over there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're talking in like an old creepy little area under
the bridge.
Yeah, that was actually coincidentally you're talking about 100 yards from where the chief of the Willow Springs Police Department dumped the body of his wife with the help of another guy. I think his name was Mike Corcoran, and he ended up writing a book about this whole thing.
I don't think that's her brother. No.
No. But my uncle is a lawyer and has a law. What do you call it? Firm? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
fucking,
law firm.
Yeah.
Office.
With a former cop from this town who busted that murder case open. So where you're talking about is literally 100 yards away from where they dumped that body in that case.
I'm
and
just
that's a
suspecting-
well-documented case. You can read the book. I forget what it's called, but I think the guy's name was Mike Corcoran, who was he went to jail or Mike Corbett or something.
Corbett.
Something like
That's
that.
the name.
Is it?
That's who you're thinking of anyway.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I'm not
so.
saying that
Okay.
Corbett's her brother, but Corbett.
Oh,
yeah.
I got real excited for a second.
No,
like,
no. No.
Yeah, Mike Corbett is the name.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm
okay? So
familiar with
he
that.
wrote a book about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where you're talking about is literally
my
right
dad
there.
knew
where they-
him.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's how I know his name.
these are murderers. Then that they covered up murders, confirmed.
So you're saying, okay, so the official story is that
That it was a suicide.
the brother showed up on the scene it was clearly a suicide.
All right, now let's get on top of this thing. Matt's dad is divorced from his mom. He's dating a woman.
Well, they were married.
Or they were married.
I'm 98% sure they were married.
And her brother
together.
Her brother
living
was part of a police force that's known for covering up murders at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, it just seems weird.
Okay,
he's
so
a cop. He shows up. He should know better than to be moving bodies,
So how do
moving
you-
guns,
how do you-
fucking
how do you
chilling
know
out
that-
for an hour before anybody else shows up. What the fuck are you doing?
How did you know that
Yeah.
happened?
I just was filled in by this stuff like
By your mom?
last year by my mom.
And is she suspicious of the whole thing?
Not really.
No.
But that's why I'm like, maybe I'm just being weird. But because like she knew the man. He killed himself. It doesn't seem that weird to her. Maybe that's why. Like
Is
maybe
it?
it's
I mean, is there anything? Is there any motive for his wife to? I mean, did he have money? Did he have assets?
I mean, not really. They were just both.
troubled?
They're both drunks.
Okay.
I'm just suspect that
Drunks with a gun.
drunks with guns.
Yeah.
That's what I suspect.
But the gun was his.
Yeah, one of his many guns.
So, but it could have been
Accessible in the home.
But like what?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Worst case scenario.
Like under
there's-
his pillow. I mean,
There's a drunken argument. She kills him, calls her brother, and says, "You got to get over here. I just
Right.
fucked up really bad." He comes over and goes, "Oh fuck, what are we gonna do?
Right.
We got to make this look like a suicide."
and I've also just heard different.
Before we get way out too far out of
No,
ourselves,
no.
I'm just saying that could be the theory.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
what I'm thinking, and also I wanted to see the death certificate and all the reports because it's like I keep hearing different stories about where exactly the trajectory of the bullet was. Ever since childhood, I was told that he put a gun in his mouth, but then I've also heard that I remember the funeral, and I'm like his head was intact. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I've
I
also
wonder
heard
if-
other tales that there was a bullet hole that they had to cover up in the side of his head. And it's like, well, if there's a bullet hole in the side of his head, you don't put a gun in your mouth on a fucking weird angle so that it comes out at your temple. So did he put a gun to the side of his head or was it in his mouth?
it may be, saying that someone
Holy
puts
shit.
a gun in their mouth is kind of like an idiom for implying suicide.
Right, that's what I mean.
more
But
than-
so
more
was
than a
it
gun
or
to the
not?
head.
I'm just trying to find
No,
out
and
what the facts are.
I can also tell you from my experience, I had a friend in high school who hung himself, and it caused a great deal of damage to the structural integrity of his face. And I know that because his mother found him and told me what it was like when she found him. And when he had an open casket at his funeral, surprisingly, and
Right.
they had reconstructed everything in a very, very convincing way.
That's true. No, my friend Mike was in a real bad car
especially
accident.
So yeah, it could be
as a
but yeah.
post-mortem thing, it can be, I mean, they could have rebuilt.
But a 45 in your mouth, I would think would just blow the back of your head open.
So
Yeah.
There's nothing,
so
know.
as a kid, you were told this was definite suicide.
I mean,
no
maybe
question
like once
about
again,
it.
you got to keep in mind this is things I was told as a kid.
Right.
Your childhood recollections and the way that you perceive the world and everything. It's really hard for me to look back on and know, okay, what was said exactly to me and what did I take from it? I can only say what I took from it. So that's why I've been trying to just get last summer, I was trying to get the facts on this shit, but I'm not willing to pay $175
Well, and
to find out.
It should be accessible. That should just be accessible information for you.
Yeah, I
You
think
should-
so.
You shouldn't have to pay that money.
Right.
You know what? If you go through, I mean, if you bug them enough and you talk to the right detective, you might be able to get it. But what's even more tantalizing about that is there some reason they don't want you to
Yeah.
Maybe,
find it?
but I don't want to start thinking that way.
Right.
I just think it's just money bullshit right now.
I don't know,
This
dude.
is interesting.
My curiosity is pretty piqued by the fact that her brother was a cop at a department that was known for covering up murders.
That's the thing
I
that
mean,
set me off. And then my mom was like, "Yeah, and this and that," but it sound. And I was like, "That doesn't sound weird."
And don't forget, this whole area out here, this department was basically set up to help. I forget what family, but it was set up by the mob, and that guy Mike Corbett was, I think, a mobster, basically that they sent to
Handpicked.
they sent him to the police academy so they'd have a guy on the inside. The Willow Springs Police Department. For people who don't know, man, it's well documented. Look into it. These guys were the real deal, fucking corrupt killers.
Bastone. Sal Bastone.
Okay,
Put him
yeah.
in power.
So I mean, this is pretty nuts.
I want to help you pursue this. Are you interested in
Yeah, I am. I
Let's,
absolutely am.
I'm going to set up a GoFundMe. Our listeners at home, we're going to set up a GoFundMe, raise some money so we can get these documents. Everybody can chip in. We're going to take this one step further for our friend Matt.
Awesome.
We only need, what, $50?
Something like that. It wasn't that much.
That's
It's
not
just
much.
more than I have, honestly. And like I said, I also felt it should be free to me, and I kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't feel that way.
Well, we should definitely figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta fucking have some big questions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to start with getting my hands on the death certificate
See
and
if
the
there's
police
anything
report.
really
That's
there.
only 2 documents, so it should only be like you said, like $50.
Yeah.
But I might have to get some more stuff after that. But let's start there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
God damn.
Well, that's fucking crazy.
right? Because then at least I'll just have like, here's the facts. Like, here's the actual cause of death. Here's how that was, and like, here's the official police report. That would just be good.
Yeah, and I wonder if the official police report has any indication of what you know,
Right,
which is
about-
that
So your
he
mom,
waited.
but your mom knows for sure that like she called her brother first, and he came over, and there was some span of time that passed before the actual.
She does. I don't recall exactly what her source on that is, but she was also friends with a lot of the Willow Springs police back
But
in those days.
for people also who are out of town or whatever. I mean, the nature of this town, especially back then, it's very fucking tiny. It was practically a rural town back then.
Like I said, we have a well.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's it's people talk and things get around. You know, that is incredibly eerie.
Yeah, it's very eerie, and it's fishy.
Yeah, all right.
fishy.
So I'm not like paranoid or crazy. This whole
No,
thing
not
does
at
seem a
all.
little. It's like
It seems weird.
Well, dude, anytime I like that, just what I've already said a million times. I keep saying it over and over. I mean, it's just what leaps to my mind, especially because like this area is so well known for being a place you could make someone disappear, make a body disappear, get something done with the local law enforcement, whatever you need to do, you know.
But he wasn't involved in organized crime or anything.
He
It
didn't
was
have
just
to be,
a
though,
lover's
but-
quarrel kind of a thing, is what I'm thinking.
That's what I mean, but it would be a corrupt enough place that something like that might be totally within the realm of possibility.
Or it could be exactly what I've been told. It wouldn't
Could
be
be.
out of the realm of real because, you know, I'm bipolar. You know what I mean? Like my dad was always a very melancholy alcoholic man. Like I'm much like him according to people that have met me and who knew him like when he was my age. They're
Sure.
like, wow, you're a lot like your dad. Like,
So nobody was really said, hey, this was way out of character that he would do that.
no. So I want to keep that in mind. You know,
Okay.
like it's not like mine. It's not like if you know the happiest guy in town, and then he turns out he was a dope fiend and he OD'd, and you're like, no, dude,
Right.
that
yeah.
guy's a straight edge. Like, you know, yeah.
no,
Was your
does
dad
his-
into drugs at all, or that you know of?
I
or
mean,
no?
not hard drugs.
No, yeah, nothing I wouldn't do.
Smoked hash, you know,
Yeah.
and did stuff. I don't
But
know.
his wife alleges to have been home at the time.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
See, and that seems weird to me too. I feel like people are less likely to commit suicide when a family member is in the house.
Yeah, and at like 4 a.m. or like 3
Yeah.
a.m.
See, but at
That's
that
when
time,
drunken-
Late drink.
that's-
yeah, that
these are
seems-
drinking.
That's like
hours.
naked lovers quarrel time.
Right.
yeah. Wow. That
Like fucking like breaking glass naked time.
Yeah. See why like the time of it, just a lot of these little things I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that weird and it doesn't seem like it's not, you know what I mean? But it just at the same time, you know, I'm not one of those people that has a hard time like swallowing that. It's not that I like, oh, I don't want to believe that my dad killed himself. I just don't want to believe it. Like that's not true. Like I don't think people that commit suicide are cowardly. In fact, I think quite the opposite. Like you're pretty fucking committed. Like I've always said that. Like people are always like, oh, well, you know, that's the coward's way out. Not at all. The coward's way out is laying in a hospital bed, clinging to dear fucking life when you're not really living. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
I
that's,
kind of agree with that,
That's
too.
cowardly. Fucking kill yourself.
You're gonna die one day anyways.
Right.
I always kind of did think like, wow, people who can really make that decision, and not in a dramatic, oh, my girlfriend left me situation, but
There's-
like in
there's
a
bullshit reasons.
in a way, and you know. But although, do you ever have the feeling like, you know, that your dad wouldn't have killed himself, you know, because he had kids?
I mean, all I can say, he was an abusive alcoholic.
So you weren't that fond of him anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
not like you don't
I
care
mean,
that he died, but you know
no,
what
I mean, it's like on one hand, he was a very talented, man, and a smart man, and an intelligent man, but he was also like a very abusive alcoholic and a very troubled man.
Do you ever talk to your siblings about this?
Well, the only siblings I have are my older brother, and he fucking hated the guy because he kicked the shit out of him his whole life.
How old was he when he died?
Well, he's 10 years, he's 16.
So your brother was 16 when your dad died?
15, 16.
Okay. And to his recollection, he says, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he fucking hated that guy. I mean, I could tell you some stories. Like, one time, here's one of the times I remember when they originally split up, and this is one of my earliest childhood memories. My brother and I had to go over to my dad's apartment at the time, which was in the same kind of locale. There used to be also apartments over there. And we went there, and I remember when we got there, my dad went in the bathroom to, like, shave or something, after we had, like, a little kind of a dinnery thing. And my brother put me on his back, and we walked to the Willow Springs police station, and my brother was like, was slapping the shit out of both of us and stuff, which was a lie. This was a total lie.
Wait, so your brother took you to the police station and made up a story about your dad?
Yeah, which was a total lie, but he fucking hated the guy. And my mom's told me stories about, my dad hitting my brother, and, I have...
How weird.
I don't have any memories of him.
You don't even really know what the truth is. Huh?
No, I don't... But, I know for a fact from my very earliest childhood memory that, the man was an absolutely monster of a drunk.
Okay.
My first memory, my childhood memory from, like, being 3 or 4... is of my mom and dad having an argument around the kitchen table about writing friends a letter or something. And she snaps the letter up from him, and he chased her around the table. And as a little kid, I remember I was hiding under the table, and he like knocked her down, punched her, or threw her to the floor, was like yelling, and he was drunk. And I remember I had just gotten out of the bathtub, and it was cold outside, but my brother, my mom, and myself had to go outside and sit on the front stoop, and I just had a towel wrapped around me, and it was cold, and he was fucking destroying the house. You could just hear, like, this is my house kind of shouts and shit like that, and just furniture fucking being flung around, and then I remember the cops came a couple hours later, and they drove me and my brother to my grandparents' house, and I don't really remember much else from that.
So that's the kind of memories you have of him.
Yeah, those are... Well, I have some nicer memories of my dad. Like, when he was living there before he died or whatever, I mean, I have memories of him that aren't bad. I mean, he wore a toupee because he was completely bald. Like, I don't have, like, real lush, thick hair. But by the time he was my age, he was completely bald. So he always wore a toupee. And I remember one morning, his toupee was, like, mega fucking crooked. And he made a joke about it. And I mean, I remember him giving me some advice that I can never remember. And just, you know what I mean? It wasn't, right. It wasn't like.
But those moments existed.
Right. He wasn't a terrible person. He just was a bad drunk, but he drank a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But again, no real, like, nothing sticks out as to why somebody might have a motive to kill him. Huh?
No. But I mean, maybe he was smacking her around too. And she was like, fuck that. I don't know.
Sure.
That could be the case too. I don't really remember much about her.
I mean, who knows what she had to hide?
Right. She was a drunk. She was an alcoholic too.
And
were they together for a long time?
Only maybe like a year or two.
Oh, is that it?
Maybe only. Yeah. I don't know when their affair would have started. You'd have to ask my mom about that kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah. But what I'm wondering is, like, is there a life insurance thing? Was there,
I don't know.
Yeah. Now that's
he had a Jaguar that I never inherited. My brother never inherited, like a really nice metallic green 60s sports car. The Jaguar, the British Jaguar.
Wow.
Jaguar.
Yeah, I should have like a really nice car, but I suppose she got that.
I wonder if this bitch got away with murder.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm curious to find out.
And you know what? A year is a conceivable length of time to hide a huge problem.
To hide craziness.
To hide incredible debt,
right?
Ties to somebody that an unsavory character, a drug problem, even could be hidden for a year.
She always
from
looked
somebody
haggard to me
who's
as
always
a kid,
drunk.
Yeah, I mean, and this is an area that's full of drugs and scumbags and stuff like that. Not so much as it used to be.
But she was also a
back
teacher.
then.
She was also a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Was she? That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
No,
There's a lot of them that are drunks and druggies and shitheads, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them who don't make very much money and might try to get themselves involved in other ways to make money.
All right, so you want to start a GoFundMe?
Yeah, I would definitely.
I want to stay with this story. I want to know what happens. I'm so on the hook.
Well, I'm definitely happy to share it.
How are we going to get that for our listeners? Because we want to get these documents.
Well,
we need to. If you're
right
just
here in
joining
town.
us, Matt Geer here has some suspicion that all might not be accurate with the story he's been told about his dad's suicide.
Somewhat mysterious suicide.
And
this was in the 80s. You said
1984, 1985.
Okay.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds to me like there's fucking something there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
me too. That sounds sketchy.
I mean, just the fact that she calls the brother first, and her brother is a Willow Springs cop. I mean,
that's enough.
That's enough to go at least explore it further. So how are we gonna get this done?
All right, I will tomorrow morning. First thing, I'm gonna set up a GoFundMe page. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it is a free donation site where you can donate any amount of money to help our cause. You can follow along with our story as a reward for that, and I don't know, maybe we'll have a raffle with people who donate and give something away to somebody. That's
but how are we
usually
going to get it
these
out
things
to people? We'll have to just keep talking about it on the show.
We'll keep talking about it on the show. We'll share it on our Facebook.
It's only like $50.
We really only need like $50. We just got to get 2 documents, but we shouldn't have to fucking pay for them because we're entitled to that information.
Why don't we just
so help
ask
us out.
Everybody we know it gets like $3 each.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing, but we're just going to use a website.
I guess we need to get used to doing this anyways because we want to do a few other things with GoFundMe. So this will be our first one. It'll be
this is an easy
very
goal.
Easy target. Yeah,
this is a high reward too. You guys are going to get a great story out of this. I cannot wait to see what we can learn about this.
At the very least, it'll just be bare facts about my father's suicide, which I'm happy to share as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool. All right, you guys keep an eye out for that then.
Sex and gore cells.
Get that put together for you.
All right. Well,
that would be great.
Thanks
honestly,
for opening up about that.
I would love that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No,
That's
absolutely.
incredibly
For
interesting.
sharing that, Matt.
I just kind of gave up on it last year because of the money. And part of me was like, I don't really know if I want to know, but I've been thinking about it again, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to know.
Now we got some momentum here. We got
right.
Yeah.
So no, I'm definitely now I want to know because really, like I said, it's just based on what I've been told and my own childhood recollections, which are childhood recollections. They're not accurate.
And picturing where you told me they live, where he's talking about is underneath like a highway bridge,
Yeah,
basically.
it's a fishy area.
And it's a very creepy little area, and especially picturing it back then because now there's like modern buildings back there and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't like that then.
Back then, it was probably just desolate and dark
and
lonely.
It was the bridge. Yeah, I remember I used to play under the bridge a lot.
Living
as a
under the
kid.
bridge, yeah.
And there were apartments and a couple houses, and it seemed like a very unincorporated area, but it was Willow Springs. It was just like off the grid.
Yeah.
And by a very shitty dump bar that's not there anymore that people used to call the Animal House.
Well, and there was a lot of bikers around back then.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of gangs and shit.
Do you remember that bar by any chance that used to be on the corner there?
I wasn't from around here, no.
Oh, okay. I remember that place very well from my childhood.
So I don't know. We're gonna have to come back to that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you guys stick with us. Go find us on Facebook or whatever. We will keep the GoFundMe going.
Yes.
And we'll put this segment up to fill people in, and we're gonna find out if our buddy Matt Geer's father was murdered or indeed committed suicide on that lonely night under the bridge back in 1985.
All right.
All right.
Good setup.
Let's before we go to the break, let's do this one last video.
Yeah, I definitely want to get
This
to
guy's
this
the
tonight.
biggest fucking cocksucker I've ever
I've
seen.
been working on my impression of him.
Have you really? This
Yeah.
was an NYPD detective, right?
NYPD, detective. Also, it has recently been announced. Let's see, Officer Patrick Cherry, who is a detective for NYPD and is also involved in the FBI's top secret Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Good.
So he's
So he's a real psycho.
fighter. Yeah.
He's a real psycho.
So to set this up, because it doesn't really set it up in the video here, this
It's
Uber
kind of a
driver.
long video. You know what? We'll do it. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
This Uber driver is honked at a police officer for parking without signaling because he was not expecting the car to make the movements it made, and it disrupted his flow, and he almost hit him.
And did the nice officer have something to say about that?
He sure did. So this guy's...
Do you understand me?
Sir, I am not saying...
Do you understand me?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so stop it with your mouth.
Okay.
Stop it with your, for what, sir? For what, sir?
Okay.
Stop it with that bullshit.
Okay.
And realize the 3 vehicle and traffic law violations you committed.
Okay.
Okay? Do you understand me?
Yes,
I don't know
understand.
what fucking planet you think you're on
not,
right now.
I'm not planning, sir. I'm here.
Planning? I said planet.
I say
I
I'm
said
not.
planet.
I'm not any
Sit in your
planet.
fucking car and stay there.
I'm not planning,
So
sir.
it's a guy in the-
planning. I
this
said
is-
planet.
This is an Uber. This is an Uber car, and it's a guy in the back seat filming.
It's the fare that's filming it. Yeah.
and he's making little comments like Jesus Christ and whatever, and
Yeah.
you know, but you can tell he's way too much of a pussy to say anything to the cop. But
Yeah. Oh wait, you'll like the advice he gives the driver later.
no, I've seen the video.
Oh, okay. You won't like it.
So then they're sitting here waiting for the cop. Let's see when he comes back.
Yeah, it's a long wait. I've
Is it?
seen
Yeah.
this too.
And the passenger's saying things like,
Open the
"I don't think
door,
he's allowed
like
to
he's-
hit your
he's-
car like that. I don't think he's allowed to do that."
You weren't under arrest. I think he's just on a power trip right now.
Yeah, that's the guy in the back seat.
Yeah. There's two of them
Time to
back
open my
there.
mouth. You have some.
Oh.
There we go.
Well, who do you think you're talking to here?
You see the driver just
not saying that.
is rolling his eyes.
No,
like,
every
looking
time I
over,
open my
what the
mouth,
fuck?
you have something to say.
What a
When
piece
you're
of shit.
driving up my ass when I'm trying to park the car, and then you have to do something with your hands.
Sir, I just say.
Do something with your
I don't
hands.
care
It's
what
called
you have to
driving.
say.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I think the guy like
Do you
made
understand that?
the guy made some gesture at him, you know, like sort of like a "what the hell are you
Right,
doing" kind
yeah.
of thing, you know.
How dare you put your hands in the air at me? How long have you been in this country? I'm very sorry, sir. I do not. I've been here 3 years.
I understand.
People are allowed to park in this car, park their cars
Okay.
on the side of the street without your interference,
Okay, sir.
and then your opinion about what's going on.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Apologies.
Especially when the person you're doing it to are the police.
Okay, sir.
I'd shoot this guy in the face if I had a gun.
Because I'm a police officer and I get special rights.
Dude, this is why I probably couldn't carry a gun, because like if this I would
No,
shoot this guy.
yeah.
I would definitely try to
I
kill
want to
this
leap
guy.
into the computer screen
I wanna
and
go
start punching
in there
him in
and
the eyeball.
Rip his. I would put my fingers into his nose and just rip his nose skin upwards. Just fucking rip his face in half off. Just do like a very crude version of the face off thing, you know. Just rip his face off and put it on my face and dance around.
I also wonder if he realizes that his fucking accent makes him sound retarded. And when he yells with his accent, it makes him sound even retardeder.
No, and this guy's being clearly like physically fucking intimidating and aggressive.
Yeah.
I'd have to kill him.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're coming from, or where you think you're appropriate in doing that. That doesn't. It's not the way it works.
Okay, sir.
How long have you been in this country?
Almost 2 years.
Almost how long?
2 years.
2 years. I got news for you, and use this lesson. Remember this in the future. Don't ever do that again.
Okay.
The only reason you're not in handcuffs going to jail and getting summonses in the precinct is because I have things to do.
Okay.
That's the only reason that's not happening. Because this isn't important enough for me.
Now I'm gonna spend 10 minutes screaming on the side of the road,
Yeah.
but this is not important enough to me.
The
This
only reason
Dude,
you're not
what a
in
fucking-
handcuffs is because you didn't do anything illegal.
What a fucking piece of shit psycho. Like any other person in society, when somebody honks and waves their arms, has to just go, oh well, on with my day.
Mm-hmm.
This fucking piece of garbage. I fucking hate cops so much.
Yeah.
And this is a detective too, right?
Yeah. And he works for the FBI as well.
These guys are supposed
Look, he's
to
in
be-
he's in like a suit and tie. He's not even in a police uniform, which leads me to believe that he's probably also driving an unmarked police car.
fucking cocksucker.
Yeah. How
You're
dare
not-
you honk at me? I was in an unmarked police car. Don't I look like a cop to you?
But we're not supposed to call them a gang, right?
Right.
This
yeah.
is not
No, this is normal.
this is not a gangster at the window here, right?
No, don't you want to be a cop when you grow up?
This is not a gangster. Okay.
No.
Important enough. Don't ever do that again. Are you a fare?
So now he talks to the guy in the back seat.
This is my favorite.
Yes.
You're a fare.
Yes.
And this guy is taking time out of your day for his vehicle and traffic violations.
This guy.
Wouldn't you be like, don't fucking talk to me, pal?
This guy's taking time out of your day.
Maybe not, because that would just set him off for another 10 minutes,
Oh,
But
God, I would have let him go.
if
I would have
was-
said, no,
first
you're
of all,
taking time out of my day.
Right.
I didn't see any blue lights flashing. I probably would have just pulled away, But I don't know. I guess that he gave him some kind of fucking ticket, so I guess he had the ability to do that.
And the other problem too is that Uber is really exclusive about their drivers. Their hiring process is much longer and more in depth than like your average cab driver would be. So this Uber driver probably had a lot at stake had he risked getting some sort of actual infraction.
What a
against
piece
him.
of shit fucking thug. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, why do people think there's any legitimacy to this fucking organization anymore? I just don't know. I'm just done with it.
You know what's?
I just want that guy dead. Isn't that just you
Yeah,
just see that?
yeah,
You're just like,
seriously.
I want that guy to die. Like I want him to get eaten by a lion tomorrow somehow. I want him to be I want him to be in New York and somebody's illegally transporting a lion and it gets in a crash and runs out of a truck, and then this guy gets out to scream at the guy who fucking crashed the truck, and the lion eats him.
I don't know. I've been looking up for videos where like cops get the shit kicked out of them. Those
They're very
they
rare.
cheer me up though.
They're
Did you
very
see those
rare.
two black kids though? And like I forget, they're in like a sandwich shop or something.
Yeah, and
they-
the cops run in to talk to him or whatever, and they're like, "Leave us alone." And the cops start trying to I don't know. They just put hands on him in one way or another. The kids just fucking started busting their faces.
Right,
up.
they
Yeah.
kick their asses.
Oh yeah,
man.
but they eventually got arrested.
But all charges dropped and
But
shit.
they fought like men too.
Right.
That was the inspiring thing, is they didn't like
Yeah.
just try to run or squirm away, or they stood and fought. Yeah, I love those videos where people actually do some damage to a cop, but it's very rare. Those videos are hard to find. They really are. I mean, there's a few classics. There's like the one where the Mexican guys tackle the cop and stab him a bunch of times.
I haven't seen that.
It's like from the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like that.
There's a couple of old ones of cops getting killed, and a couple of ones of like a guy jumping out of the passenger seat slyly while the cop's talking to the driver, and he comes around and shoots the cop or whatever. There's a couple like that, but there's not many of cops really getting their asses beat, which is surprising because of how out of shape a lot of them are and stuff, and how very incapable they seem of ass kicking a lot of the time.
I saw a right on the heels of the Michael Brown hysteria. I saw a compilation video that somebody had put together of cops getting fucked up, and it was supposed to be like a sympathy, like it was supposed to evoke sympathy for their plight. And I was watching it with unsolved mystery expert David Box, and it was like a 2.5 minute video probably, and it was just clip after clip after clip after clip. Cops getting shot, cops getting hit in the face with things, cops getting run over by cars. And our unsolved mystery expert said about halfway through, he said, "Is it bad that I am really enjoying this?" But it's true.
They're like feel good
And it's like,
videos.
so maybe you should try searching something that's supposed to evoke sympathy,
I guess,
and you may
yeah,
come
and you
up
can
with
find them
something
better.
like that if that's what you're looking for. But it's true. I mean, it's satisfying to see those things. It just is.
No, I know, and I have purposely sought out videos of cops getting beat up, and yeah, like I said, it's
a confusing way for me to feel because I'm compassionate and not a violent person, but I feel satisfied when I see that stuff. I really do.
No, and like we've talked about since the beginning of this show, that's one of the main things that we do on this show is we make a distinction. Like, yeah, nonviolence is awesome, and then at a certain point, it's not possible.
Right.
So we have to realize
absolutely.
that nonviolence is it's a great luxury, but we're not always afforded it.
But it is a luxury. That's a great way to phrase it. So yeah, that's fucking crazy. I wish I could hit this fucking Uber cop in the face with something. And you know what else is really interesting about this fucking crazy ass tirade is so many people identified with this. I got on Facebook, I had, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 different people tag me on this video on different times.
Oh, because everyone's had this experience with a cop. Almost everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's everyone or if it's just people like us. I don't know. But
I don't know.
But I definitely have had more than one of the psycho motherfucker that you instinctively know, if I don't talk to this guy the right way, he's going to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's trying to get me to do anything he can get me to do to justify him being able to hurt me. Like trying to get me either to get mad, fidgety, something. They're just that's this game, you know. I mean, I've been very fucking scared by some ways some cops have acted, you know, and especially when you're young. Remember being 16 and the guy's 3 times your size and he's, you know, covered in weapons and he's screaming in your face. You're like, oh my fucking God, what am I going to do?
You know,
like,
I honestly
get out of this.
I honestly like. I've always kind of had a smart tongue with cops.
Oh yeah, gotta.
When I was 16,
when you
I
can,
was
but
having a
sometimes
party.
they're too crazy, dude. You know the times I'm talking about.
Well, one threw me down. I'll tell you a quick story. My girlfriend at the time, who lived in Western Springs, which is a pretty uppity neighborhood, the neighbors used to call the cops on her all the time because she'd have friends over and they were like born again Christians and they didn't like a bunch of teenagers having the run of a house to themselves.
Sure.
So the cops came over. Now I know that when I answer, even then I knew that like if I answer the door, I close the door behind me.
If the cops are there, you go outside.
Yeah. Well, actually, you don't even. I didn't know this then. I wish I did. You don't even have to answer the door.
No, I don't anymore.
But I thought I did. I thought you had to answer the door. But I stepped outside and they were like, why'd you step outside? I'm like, because you're outside. And they're like, well, we want to come in. And I'm like, well, that's great. And they tried to like kind of force their way in. Like they just kept getting in my face.
Right.
And I said to the cop, I was like, you know, if you get any closer to me, because I'm up against the door now, we're going to be kissing. And he was like, well, you know, and he got, and I kissed him right on his mouth.
Really?
And he
That is assault.
He flipped the fuck out.
Oh, I would guess so. Yeah.
He flipped the fuck out.
What, he said he threw you on the ground?
Yeah, you want to talk about scared?
Oh yeah.
And this wasn't like I was afraid that they were going to arrest me or anything like that because I knew they weren't going to arrest me or anything. I hadn't done anything. You know what I mean? Like maybe I smelled like pot. Like you know what I mean?
He was in your face.
He fucking threw me down on concrete and was like, "Go home." Because they knew I didn't live there. They knew
you made him feel strange.
Yeah. I awakened feelings in him.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I've never I was afraid because it really he snapped.
Nah, dude, I've definitely had the experience of cops when they come to your house and they do that thing of trying to like sidestep around you in the doorway 100 times. You're like, no, you're not coming in. I remember, you know, when I had my own place, I'd be 20, 21, 22, and they'd show up and you're drunk and they're like, do you have ID? Like, no. Do you have a warrant? You know, whatever. Yeah. And yeah, so many times to the point where we'd be laughing. I remember a time that me and my friend were standing in the doorway together and they kept going, well, we're just going to come inside, like casually start to try to slide past us. And we would laugh and go, no. You know, like, and it got to just be hilarious. We're just like, guys, you're not going to do it. And, yeah, I mean, that's one of their classic moves.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the same thing too. I've also had to fucking get thrown down on the ground and threatened with death.
Right. Well, you've outsmarted them.
Yeah. Right.
And now their only recourse is violence, even though it's not even like legal anymore. They're just like, I can get away with this, and I'm gonna fucking do this. Although this time it wasn't even that. Like in my story, it was just like this guy didn't even have to be in uniform. Another guy kissed him on the mouth, and he fucking flipped his wig. It was not. You know what I mean? And his partner was even like, whoa, hey. Yeah, he's just a kid. Like, that's a scrawny little kid you're throwing around there.
Right.
You know, and that's why he was just like, just go home. And I was like, I don't have to go anywhere. Like, you need to fucking leave is what I said.
Fucking police.
And then they did. They left. They left.
No, dude, that's the greatest thing about police is I've had bewildering experiences before where people are like, well, how did you get them to leave? Like, because they're not legally allowed to do the things that they do. And if you just stand up to them, oftentimes they go away, you know, and they give you some bullshit like that guy, this isn't worth my fucking time, you know, or whatever bullshit they want to come up with.
Right. What if that guy was like, okay, arrest me, dude. Let's do that. Why don't you take me down to there, like, right now?
Cops, or they'll, you know, another petty thing that cops will do when they realize they can't get anywhere with their forceful approach, they'll go, well, do me this favor. Would you just close that window over there? That if they can get you to make any change in your situation, then they feel satisfied that they've controlled you in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes you'll have to make that one. Right. Well, then, would you turn the music down a notch then? Okay, fine. All right. Just leave us alone. You know, we'll do that. Fine. Just get the fuck out of here. And that gives them that animalistic satisfaction.
Well, you're
like,
subservient.
They've subdued
any
someone.
concession. Yeah. I've actually never been physically intimidated by a male police officer.
Yeah,
but
well,
female
girls are
police
lucky.
officers try all the time. They like automatically, no matter what's happening, they are automatically physically intimidating you or trying to. But it doesn't work.
I'd like
because
to
they're not
mace
scary.
a girl cop. That'd be
They're
cool.
but they're in a lot of ways because girl cops don't have as many opportunities as boy cops do to flex their fucking crazy ass control muscles.
Yeah.
Because the rules are different, you know?
It is always less. I don't know. Every time I was stopped by a girl cop when I was out partying a lot and stuff, like it was always for some reason less scary. I don't know. They just seem
Because they're
like,
not scary.
Yeah.
I would say I've had nice experiences with cops. When I got arrested in North Riverside for assault, right? Like my hair was all
For
messed.
kissing a police officer.
No, different time. This was for actually assaulting somebody, but that's another story. I'm a very nice, nonviolent guy. If you've ever if you could see the guy that I quote unquote assaulted, like even in court, like the judge was like, "This is a joke," but
Yeah.
I have no choice but to go along with this. Like, so you were scared of him, huh? You know, I'm like, because this guy was like 7 feet fucking tall. He was this asshole named Wally, but I had gotten arrested. My hair was all tousled and messed up, and the nice female cop there in North Riverside straightened out my hair for me for my mugshot because she could tell I'm kind of vain. So,
Yeah, see, that's something only a woman
right?
would do.
No guy
Yeah.
cop's gonna be like, "Oh, let me like straighten your hair out for you."
A million years.
Probably not, anyway.
Straighten it out with this fucking billy club.
Right? Exactly.
And I'll take your glasses off with this 9mm.
You know, she nicely smoothed all my hair out for me and everything. You know.
All right, well, let's do a quick break and then come
Yeah.
back. Finish this bitch up.
Finish this bitch.
Sunday Evening Overdose. We will be back in a minute. And we're back.
Back. It is Sunday.
Have you seen this possession video?
Yeah, I've seen this possession video.
It's going around. It's going around as a possession video of a. I don't know.
It's not a drug possession video.
No, it's
It's
like
a,
a demon.
It's a demon possession video. It's something. It's some kind of demon, spirit, ghost, poltergeist.
It's a very strange fucking video. The audio of it is pretty sweet too.
Yeah, I'm getting the
gonna pull it
link
up
for
in a
you guys
second.
right now.
All right.
But this is
It's
this
in a
is,
supermarket.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a little convenience store maybe.
Yeah, like a
Yeah, it's like a little shop.
bodega.
Right, there you go. So it's you're gonna see a guy.
This video was actually a little bit difficult for me to watch
Why?
because it looks incredibly uncomfortable. He looks
Black and white.
pained.
Yeah, it's like a little overhead footage from a security footage from a store.
Yeah.
Let me turn up the audio here.
Guys
because-
walking around.
So you
Yeah.
see him get a drink out of the refrigerator here, and he's about to start fucking getting possessed. There he goes. Boom. He starts shaking. Looks like maybe some kind of seizure at first.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I
he
was gonna say.
Yeah, then he starts making these weird hand motions. And the lady next to him runs the fuck away. She's terrified.
Smart.
This is this guy making these noises. So he's clutching himself. He's fucking. It almost looks like a heart attack or a seizure or some bullshit or I don't know.
He's yelping.
Yeah. But now it starts to look like something different. It's
Yeah.
He's
fallen
clutching
to
at
his
his clothing.
knees.
That woman's
Yeah.
back.
he points ominously at her and she runs away again. I mean, he's swirling his head around, his eyes are rolling back, he's grabbing his hair, he's fucking twitching around, falls back down on the ground.
Now he like
All right,
collapses.
now wait, watch this.
What?
Okay.
Did you see that?
Yeah, but
He falls to the ground.
Hold on, now just for
sometimes
our,
it takes things time to fall over that are unbalanced and whatnot.
All right, now
let's see
but
that again, because
watch
for
it.
our listeners at home, what happens at the end of this video is you'll see after the guy falls on the ground, you'll see in the reflection of the glass on the left here, some sort of like mist or shape, appear
Yeah.
and move past, and then you'll see some like toilet paper and some boxes of shit just fly off of this shelf.
Well, I don't know if it flies off. but
Yeah,
it
dude,
falls.
it's pretty forceful.
Let's
Watch.
see it again.
Watch
yeah,
it
let's
again.
see it. Okay, you know what? You're right. That
Back it
doesn't
up,
look like
back it up
something
a
that's
little.
falling.
It's something that it looks like somebody knocks it.
Or pulls it with a string.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's fake, yeah.
I'm
And did you look into this, Andrea?
skeptical.
Yeah, I can't.
I looked at this. I looked at this video posted on a few different forums, and I tried to find people debunking it, and I didn't see anybody.
No, me neither. But I also can't really figure out where the original source of it was either. It's a pretty strange thing to watch.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. And this is from disclose.tv, so they're pretty much what the stuff that they post is you never know. I mean, they got
I'm
a
more
lot
inclined to believe, or I mean, I would never really be inclined, honestly, to believe that someone's being possessed by a demon, but I would be more inclined to believe that he really believed it if he had hurt himself. People that actually think they're possessed usually end up hurting themselves a lot.
Right.
He doesn't smash anything. He doesn't hit the floor like hard even really. He just
There's something kind of eerie about the way he's kind of tearing at his clothes, though.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
definitely looks like he's extremely disturbed or uncomfortable.
Right, but there are a lot of disturbed.
It looks like an entity adjusting to a new body.
Oh, is that what you
think? A new capsule, yeah.
Okay.
Getting the feel of
The
things.
interesting thing to me is two people ran away from him right away. There was a guy in the background there too. If you notice this, like,
yeah,
somehow people immediately in this store they seem to recognize that something very terrifying is going on. Whereas it almost seems like a thing that if you saw it, you would maybe think that he needed help. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But these people are running away, so there must something to the way he's doing it in the room there that is fucking scary to them.
Right.
You know?
Maybe
Yeah.
it's putting off a vibe, even just something I can feel. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm skeptical, like I said, of anything like this to begin with. Because
to me, it didn't
I'm
seem.
inclined to believe it's real.
To me, it didn't seem that fucking weird until you see. Did you also notice the mist in the reflection on the cooler?
Yeah, I've been watching the cooler reflection the entire time, actually, waiting for maybe like a cut of the footage or anything, because that would be a good telltale sign. That's
Sure.
fake.
Yeah.
And no, I noticed that.
See, look at right here.
Yeah,
Watch.
Yeah.
See that?
But see,
Yeah.
it looks weird when that happens.
It kind of does, but if you pay attention to the way the reflection is oriented to his body, you can tell that wouldn't
It's
be
not
like
him.
somebody else. Yeah,
and it can't
it's
be
not
somebody. It's,
like in the distance,
Right? Because when he was right next to the cooler, it was making that kind of reflection.
Right.
So when he's laying on the floor, it's not going to be somebody standing on the other side of him.
Right, exactly.
No. But it looks like it could have been added in later, even.
But then, what about the stuff flying off the shelf? That's pretty cool.
I don't know.
Pretty interesting.
This is very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, I always wonder like what the real deal would be with that stuff. I always figure, I mean, there is an explanation, but
you can't find out where this video came from, huh, Andrea?
No, it's I don't know. I'll keep looking. I don't know if it's mysterious on purpose. I mean, it honestly doesn't really look like.
Let's
for
see
some
some
reason,
other
I don't feel like
possession
it's
videos.
America. You know, I don't know
that
why.
looks like Guatemala or something.
Yeah. And I wonder if the people that ran away because they're in some country where their culture is highly superstitious and they immediately think
that's kind of
but-
that's kind of what I
Or the
assumed about it.
Philippines.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Could have been in the
exactly.
Philippines. Like
I guess it could have been. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Hispanic or Filipino.
We should maybe this Thursday we should check out a whole bunch of possession videos. That
Yeah,
might be fun.
I'll
You
write
wanna
that down.
down for an idea? We could do that. We'll do some of that on Thursday.
usually
we'll
those
see what the
people that
deal is
think
with some of
that.
these. So we also had this was interesting. 300 million-year-old screw. Researchers baffled. There are numerous archaeological discoveries that science cannot understand. We always talk about these on the show. We've come across countless findings that have ended up as being just that. Findings that have caught the attention of researchers but have yet to be accurately explained. In this case, we have a screw that, according to researchers, is 300 million years old, and like many awkward discoveries in the past, it was found in Russia in the 90s. Russian scientists found it by chance. They were performing analysis after the fall of a meteorite in the Kaluga region when they came across a mysterious modern-day screw. Scientists were baffled and did not know what to think of it. Did it come from space? Is a screw proof of an ancient civilization that inhabited the Earth millions of years ago? What do you think, Andrea?
Yes, that's what it is.
I mean, there's a lot of things out there that they carbon date, and it's like you know, a modern looking piece of jewelry or a fucking tool or something, and they carbon date it to supposedly, you know, it's tons of time before there would have been anything like humans, according to our mainstream history. But
well, I think that
it's not unlikely. I mean,
No.
we've been here for the blink of an eye. We find dinosaur bones and we think what was before that? There could have been a whole nother thing before that, and before that, the planet itself.
yeah, it's the timeline when you start talking about hundreds of millions of years. The timeline, I feel like it gets a little bit murky.
and they're saying they X-rayed it and found another screw inside of it.
What?
It's weird.
So
it's like some more complex object. They're saying it's like got another screw shape inside of it. But
Every time I hear one of these stories where it's like, we found this technology that could not have possibly existed during this time and attribute it to these people from this time, it makes me just feel like then you just have to adjust the way you have interpreted those cultures, because clearly they're more advanced than you had measured them to be initially. So now there's new information, and we know that they were more evolved at that time. Just because they didn't have a written language doesn't mean that they weren't evolved enough to create a complex tool.
Right. Maybe they had telekinesis and could just speak to each other with their minds. We might have lost so much technology.
Yeah.
The pyramids, we still don't know how that shit was built.
Well, and there's an article I was reading earlier. I didn't have time to fact check everything it said, but it suggests that there is history in a lot of cultures around the world that suggests that there was a nuclear war that basically devastated the entire Earth. It's in
you were telling me about that, and I've heard of this before. You see this come across or come up once in a while when you go down. Maybe you're hungover and you go down the weird YouTube path all day. You know, and you start watching some Hollow Earth and some Vimanas and some, you know, and you get into some stuff. Yeah, I've seen some videos about that.
I didn't have the time to really delve into it the way I wanted to, but there is evidence that suggests like there is an entire whole evolutionary path that started and ended before ours did.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's unlikely. I mean, I don't know. I never like to be like, oh, I believe that's true, but I don't, because I don't know.
And
it's another one of those things that it seems to be supported by a lot of legends and and then small bits of evidence like this. Like I was saying, this is another thing that I've been interested in since the beginning of this show is these objects that'll be found in coal, like a diamond ring or something, you know, and it's like, how the fuck? This had to be like 2 million years old at least or something, you know?
Yeah.
Didn't the Smithsonian just reveal that they actually have those like 9-foot giant bones of the red-haired giant race? Yeah, they were like, by the way.
There's millions of things that that get sent to the Smithsonian and are just never seen again, you know? And that's a classic example is every time there's like a giant that could support the Bigfoot theory or something like this or could sort of explain, you know, things like that, that seems to get sent to the Smithsonian and lost.
Right. They're just like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. So they had like 9-foot red-haired giants?
Well, the thing is, there were reports of, you know, 9-foot small race of people that existed. Like it's in the Bible too, even there's references to them. But
we've talked about some of the giants that they found on the show before.
Yeah.
And actually some from the Midwest that were actually in the Smithsonian.
And they just get disappeared to the basement of the Smithsonian.
Yeah. Just constantly. And it's I remember the conversation because it kind of made me put things into the perspective of how massively they will cover things up to keep people stupid.
Right.
And
especially the history of
anything that doesn't fit into the official story.
And God, I wish I could figure out fucking why too. You know? But it seems like there is a massive cover up on the history of this continent for certain.
Absolutely.
And how many different ancient civilizations might have been here and different kinds of things, like, you know, all kinds of like Egyptian-esque things that have been covered up, mummies and stuff that end up as like traveling sideshows and then are eventually end up in the basement of the Smithsonian. You know, we've covered all these stories. It's so fucking common.
Right.
It really is, yeah.
So what was the deal with, what are the ones that they came out and said they have now?
They've got I don't know. You'd have to fact check the facts on it. I just remember a couple months ago seeing that like they had said like even though it doesn't really line up to anything that they our normal evolutionary scale, like, we do have some of these bones, and they're like the really big bones that you see. And supposedly, like, they don't exist anymore because the Native Americans have tale of these big people, 9 feet tall with red hair and blue eyes, and they like ate a lot because they were really big. And they were a small tribe of like 20, 30 people, or maybe even as many as 100. And they lived in caves. So one day the Native Americans that we know, according to their legend, smoked them to death, like killed them by asphyxiation by trapping them in their caves and filling them with smoke.
The giants that the Smithsonian has finally admitted that they do possess came from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Beloit, near Beloit.
Yeah. I think we did talk about that.
And they're like, what, like 9 feet tall people?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this was.
See, and then mainstream science just plods along as though that. Well, no. That's not part of what we're doing. That's
That doesn't line up with Darwin's evolution.
We only use the things that are convenient for our timeline.
Basically.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus discovered America.
Yeah, exactly.
Lincoln freed the slaves. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Very neat and orderly. Yeah.
Right. This is just neat and tidy.
Because that's just what everybody says. So that's the way it is now. Yeah, they were 7.5 feet to 10 feet tall. This race of giants, and they had 18 of them.
The Smithsonian does?
Yeah.
And they're totally coming out and saying, yeah, we got them.
Yeah, they were
Jesus Christ.
1912. They were found in 1912.
Yeah, when you're like at Thanksgiving at your aunt's house and you talk to your family about it, they'll all think you're crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm the family loon, and I'm always like, look it up. I'm like, you have these smartphones and Blackberries. I don't even have that shit. Look it up.
Somebody's got too much time on their hands.
Right? Like they just play. I'm like, whatever. There's all games on your phone. Right?
Why don't you get a healthy habit? Come on, let's watch sports.
Right. Right, and then riot when our team
reading
loses.
is going to hurt your eyes. Go watch TV instead.
And start smoking to exercise your lungs.
Yeah.
Well, I do, definitely. I'm a smoking enthusiast.
All right, so let's see what else we got here. Whistleblower says a massive extraterrestrial craft is hiding behind the moon.
Sure. Why not?
Breaking.
There's a lot about the moon that I don't think we know, honestly.
Nah, the moon doesn't add up to me either.
We could. I'm working on putting together a good moon piece for you guys. I love the moon.
I think I've said this before too, but just take, you stand in the center of a room and have one of your friends sidestep in a circle around you. Okay, so now they're rotating around you in orbit, but they never take their eyes off of you the entire time they do it. And then you realize you're the Earth and they're the moon, and ask yourself if that seems right. Ask yourself if that seems natural. Just do it with one of your friends. I swear to God.
Yeah.
You stand in the middle of the room and have one of your friends sidestep around just watching you while they circle you. And that should give you an idea of my theory on the moon. I think that it's some kind of fucking some kind of way of keeping an eye on us.
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much weird stuff about it. I mean, science fiction made a huge deal in the 40s out of some famous calculations that were done that maybe you can find them while I ramble about this, but some famous calculations that were done that would have meant the moon was covered in like 75 feet of dust in many places. So I think it was Robert Heinlein wrote like a series of books where they would ride on ships on like giant dust seas seas on the moon. And so I mean, there's shit like that. There's all kinds of mathematics that supposedly doesn't work out with it, with the moon and what.
Yeah, I mean, aside from government photos that have obviously been doctored, and it's like just there's the shadow, and it's like there's so many documentaries that point a lot of those out.
There's tons of NASA photos.
But even that aside, like if you just look at the moon as we can see it by looking up at it, it looks like the craters are like explosive, like they used to be, like a bomb went off. You know what I mean? It's like maybe not like nuclear bombs or something, but I don't know. There's the whole bleakness of the planet.
People have made a big deal out of that too. That it looks like some kind of explosions.
Right? They say it's from meteors hitting it, but then why isn't that still happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And why doesn't the Earth look that bad?
Right, we're not that far away. Wouldn't we be pelted by the same shit?
There's probably some answers for that.
Right?
I don't know.
That's like what I used to think just as a child even. I was just like, that doesn't add up. I mean, wouldn't this still be happening? Wouldn't we be seeing the moon every night, like getting pelted with stuff?
No, there is. I mean, the solar system is very different.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Get
It would be
get a
awesome.
telescope, just
But probably at the time that was allegedly happening, the solar system was more chaotic. There's a vast network of magnetic fields and various gravitational pulls.
That's true, and like the Earth is in some
protect the
perfect
planets
fucking
from
condition.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
We're lucky.
There's also a wall of energy bubbles that surround the solar system itself that prevents stuff from breaking into us. So, I mean, that's an ecosystem that took a very long time.
And
to
the moon wasn't always
create.
in the same place, right? It came from somewhere else, right?
Yeah, it formed there. It landed there and took its shape and whatever. But it's a
But when
really,
it's getting hit by all, when
evolved,
it's getting all those craters, is it in the same place it is now?
I don't know. Maybe it had them when it got here.
Did the moon get here like fully formed, or how did it get here? Did it form here? Was it like looser? Was it like what happened with the moon?
So it's just tightly
Seems like
packed
something we should
dust,
know.
basically.
Yeah.
No. Did you find anything about that or no?
The dust thing is kind of confusing because there's a group of sci-fi people who are talking about the moon being covered in dust, and then there's the creationists who have latched onto that idea as a way to prove that the Earth isn't as old as everybody says it is.
Oh, so it would support that theory, huh?
Right.
Okay.
So that's going to require a little more research, I think, to really get into
Keep
that.
an open mind here.
Yeah.
We'll try it. So, anyways, in this article, you'll have to tell me where this is from because all my URLs are gone. Dr. Eric Norton, an outside consultant for the NSA and NASA for the past 12 years, was hired to track various objects in space, including meteors, comets, etc., but recently has been following a number of unidentified aircrafts that were heading towards the Earth. Where's this from?
What the fuck? This is disclosed.tv.
A government whistleblower is what he's being called. Let's see. On January 22nd, 2012, Dr. Norton was called to the McDonald Observatory in Texas and saw massive three-dimensional black structures in space in straight-line formation advancing in the direction of planet Earth. The objects seemed to be emitting some sort of force field that deflected space particles from touching their surface, almost like the magnetic field around the Earth. The objects were getting so close that with our telescopes, we could see the structural features of these things in high detail. They were shaped as three-dimensional L-shaped craft. By January 2013, the objects have been tracked to about 200,000 miles past the planet Mars.
What the fuck?
Once they reached this point, almost instantaneously, the object vanished from our telescope lenses, as if they had activated some sort of invisibility shield at the flick of a switch. I knew that the upper echelons of government were worried about these things, because I was under a constant 24/7 guard by Secret Service agents. So I guess I didn't realize that this was a quote from this guy. I guess this is him talking. Where did this quote start? Oh, fuck it. I should have acknowledged. The quote started with what he saw when I started saying he saw a massive three-dimensional. This is him talking.
Yeah.
So let's see. I knew that the upper echelons of government were worried about these things because I was under constant 24/7 guard by Secret Service agents. For nearly the entire year of 2013, we watched the skies in disbelief. We didn't know what was going on or where these things were. According to my calculations, these things would have been so close to us by now that we would have no problem seeing them in the night sky, and if they had stayed visible to us. We didn't know if they were still coming or had left the solar system. Creepy.
Real creepy.
So this guy decided to come out, huh? Is this real?
Dr. Norton.
But no surprise.
I mean, he's saying it.
Right.
He was sent home and was awaiting additional order if needed, but had not heard anything else about this situation for approximately 6 months. All the commotion around the government shutdown, as well as the shutdown of numerous space monitoring programs, blah, 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 blue, 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 blue. He told one of his friends. And let's see, what else?
I mean, they don't keep it a secret in Russia at all.
What? Aliens?
Yeah, and like they don't even bother trying to keep it a secret in Russia at all.
There's a number of countries that kind of have that same attitude.
Argentina,
where they just share that information.
Yeah, they're just like,
Yeah.
They're just like,
they don't bother with like all the big smoke screen that America does. Like they're just like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, but do they claim to have had any actual contact, or do they just
Yeah, I guarantee you they're not giving it all up.
No,
because I've
no.
tried to look it up before. It's difficult information to find. It's not, I mean, you can't, when you Google.
It is absolutely hilarious with the amount of stuff that we've found out. I mean, I was on the Black Vault website when I was 16 reading fucking hundreds of UFO documents. I mean, it's been so long I found out how much they know. Like after everything we found out, isn't it just hilarious that they're still keeping this up? Just we have no official stance. We haven't studied it. We're not going to comment on that. It was definitely all fucking weather balloons, no matter what. No matter what. It's always some weird weather thing. It's fucking weather flare now. They always say it's flares. Whatever, dude. It's just laughable at this point. What else do we want to say about this Norton fella? We don't know what they were there. They didn't know what they were doing, what they were going to do. What were we going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say that he has a lot of opinions about what they were doing.
What?
For instance, he suggests that they may be significantly altering the magnetic waves in the gravitational field of this planet. And we have
no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
We giant spacecraft. I mean, here's the thing that's funny is like, I totally believe that that's happening, and it doesn't even surprise me, like you said.
Well, I think aliens would have just that, an alien agenda that we don't understand. Like, sure, they're doing stuff, but is it bad? I don't know. Is it good? I don't know. Like, what is their thing? It's probably not anything we can understand. Like, whatever they're doing, we have no power to change it, obviously, anyway. So it's like, but it's just a big open-ended question, and there's probably a lot more than just one alien race doing a lot of different things for a lot of different fucking reasons.
Yeah. And I'm starting to feel things like UFOs are just too big to worry about. You know, like some things you just feel that they are just too big to take into account. I want to keep seeing UFOs, but
the only honest study that was ever done by our government, I think it was Project Blue Book, I guess, was the original one.
Yeah.
And the official conclusion was there's something going on, but it doesn't seem dangerous. So that was like the only honest thing that the government ever really said about it is like there's a definite phenomenon, but it doesn't seem to be an active threat. So we're going to shut the program down. And, you know, of course they continued it behind the scenes after that. But I think that was kind of an honest assessment at the time. Is just like, yeah, it's going on, but I don't know. Unless you believe that they actually communicate with other, because I don't know if I've ever can really get into like a lot of people will insist, you know, no, there's like 6 races that they have contact with, and they're working in concert.
Right,
like
that's what I say. The wildest shit I've heard is the 6.
Oh yeah,
races.
I mean, a lot of people really believe that our high-ranking officials are working with like a galactic council to bring humans into the next level of civilization and development. And a lot of people really believe that like they've already started the conversation, and that that we're working towards the eventual knowledge that we're part of this larger community. So, you know, I mean, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I think if that were the case, however, like it would be public. It'd be like, hey, we've made contact with aliens. They're gonna show us a better way, and I think more people would be on board with it. Like if even the scarier,
but maybe that's why they're rolling out more and more of the stories, and it's getting more and more sightings and more mention in the media and stuff. If you notice, you know, it's like maybe they are preparing, you know.
But I think that's more of our concept of stuff with like the Intergalactic Council, and it's going to be like, I think, like I said, totally, they each have their own fucking agenda. There's none of that, I don't think. I think the universe has proven nothing more, at least the one thing I do believe is it's chaos.
Do you think
it's fucking chaos?
But it's been proposed many times. I wouldn't be the first to say. It seems likely to me that a civilization that was capable of like,
it seems likely,
travel from a universe to another universe would have conquered a lot of like petty issues about territorial fighting and things that drive humans nuts and stuff. So, you know, I don't know if there was like a galactic fucking space federation, I would have to think maybe you would only get to be a part of it if you were sophisticated and peaceful.
Well, wouldn't they help us get there?
Yeah, that's what I think it might be going on.
I think it'd be more blatant. It'd be more like,
no, you don't tell people because I don't know. I think you know, and I'm not in support of it, but I think the thinking on it would be you don't leak it before we're totally sure that we're not going to embarrass ourselves in front of these fucking fancy aliens that came here, and watch when we tell our species and they all start running through the streets rioting and stealing Nikes.
Well, I was gonna say, though, wouldn't you be more likely to like? I mean, honestly, this sounds kind of horrible, but I would be more likely like if it came out that like some of the things that I'm so against, like I don't know, like Monsanto. Okay, there's something I'm really against. If it came out that like, okay, aliens control Monsanto and all the shit that you hate, it really is for your benefit in this way. And like, here's how. And I believed that then I would go along with all of this other shit a lot more easily.
Yeah.
Instead of like fighting it and rioting and whatnot. If I was made to understand why like these certain things are happening and why, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
people.
I guess. Yeah. You think
more
you
willing
think
to
you should give people more credit because if the establishment behaved properly and treated them with respect, that they would act more maturely as a whole. I guess.
Right. If you treat people like adults, they can be adults. If you lock people in prisons and treat them like animals, they'll be animals.
Yeah, but dude, I'm thinking really. I don't know. And there's also probably, you know, just a code to this whole like when we develop a civilization for our galactic federation, maybe it's part of their code. Maybe it's not even up to our governments.
Exactly.
Maybe it's part of what the aliens are saying. Look, you can't tell anybody yet. We've done this a million times before. You're like civilization number 950,000. Literally, almost a million times we've done this. We know what to do. You don't tell anyone for like 300 more years.
Right.
It's going to be fine.
If that's the case, then my opinion about stuff doesn't matter. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Once again, it's okay, and I'm powerless. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like you said, Andrea, like you can't. It's cool, but it's too big.
I wonder if they have secret tunnels like to the White House and stuff. And you know, how weird does it get in the White House? When you're the president, are you opening a fucking trap door for an alien to come up and
you
have
open
some? He's got
like,
some green glowing drink with fog coming out of it and stuff. It's like, oh, you know, how was your trip from?
Have you heard that
Blargon 6?
The really wild shit about like reptilians and how they're on the 6th level, like down like on the last floor of
the
that
White
place
House
in Utah. That like and like their deal is like they need to soak in our juices. Basically, that's how they absorb nutrients. The reptilians.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's far fucking out. Like, and that our government supplies them with fresh blood and meat and whatnot.
Yeah,
because they're just like big dinosaur people.
Dude, I've gotten into that so many times. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about, there's a lot of Jew haters that are into this stuff, and they claim that like
scares me away from it. Right?
Well, but you don't have to get into that side of it, but it's kind of funny. There's a lot of Jew haters that will get into like the Jews are actually like the higher percentage of reptilian DNA, so they'll have like the Jewish conspiracy to abduct Christian babies to feed reptilians and stuff. I've seen that and whatever, and there's some videos out there about how McDonald's is actually people meat and it's all part of the like somehow part of the reptilian conspiracy. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there that's pretty fucking hilarious.
They're trying to slowly give everyone mad cow disease.
I like David Icke, and I don't discount the whole reptilian thing whatsoever. And
no, I don't discount anything.
There's also enough people out there like claiming to have had those experiences that it's one of those things that you're like, all right, it's enough. It's enough to be intriguing, where you just kind of at least got to go. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, there's too many people reporting similar shit for it to just be a coincidence,
right?
I mean, or for this is for fame. Like, what do you? A lot of these people, they don't gain nothing. In fact, their lives are destroyed.
Oh yeah, and honestly, before YouTube, And before they could go around and sell 30 tickets at some shitty fucking Holiday Inn convention and make these, the kind of videos you see of like
those are
Arizona
terrible.
Wilder or something, and like different people that claim they've been raped by reptiles. Before YouTube and shit like that, they probably had no network. Before the internet,
books.
they may have wrote a book here and there, but I'm sure that mostly, like you said, it mostly was probably a detractor to their fucking life to come out and speak out about this stuff.
You tell the local newspaper, local wacko,
Right?
claims to have had sex with alien. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of a local wacko. I wanted to get to this before we go.
Fucking wackadoo.
Here's a headline for you. Man dies after butt fucking himself against scarecrow with strap on.
Wait, where do they print that?
Oh, yeah.
On the internet.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what newspaper printed fucking
What
with a
reputable
strap?
publication?
Right.
Yeah. Who owns this publication, son?
In Buenos Aires this week, authorities discovered a 58-year-old man lying dead in a field next to a scarecrow with a 6-inch strap-on dildo. The deceased, Jose Alberto, fucking assholes have to print his name, had presumably dressed the scarecrow in lipstick and a wig. Wait a second. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
it doesn't
not
make sense.
not gonna ask any
dissect
questions.
it.
Yeah.
No, dissect it. Go on.
Well, I was just gonna say, why? If
Lipstick.
you're getting fucked by a scarecrow, why? I don't know. But then I remembered some guys like to get fucked by trannies and
that's
stuff.
what I was about to say.
Yeah,
People have
whatever.
kinks. I wasn't even gonna
That's why I
stumble
wasn't
over
even going to go into it. 'Cause I started to think that
It didn't even
weird
seem
and-
odd to me,
Right.
honestly. I was just
Yeah.
like, all right, well, let's read on.
I got friends like that. I initially thought there were 2 bodies, said spokesperson Rodolfo Muere from the local prosecuting attorney's office. This is in Buenos Aires, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I initially thought there were 2 bodies, but then I realized one was a scarecrow wearing lipstick and a long-haired wig lying next to the deceased and had a 6-inch strap-on penis. She also told the press is that a he or a she?
He. Rodolfo.
Oh, yeah, Rodolfo, that's a guy. There were no signs of violence. And while they await the autopsy results, believe that the sex was of mutual consent.
But
Alberto was a sheep herder and had lived by himself. A neighbor who described him to police as a loner found his body after detecting the smell of death. Ah, the smell of death. Familiar to us all.
right.
Is that a real thing? Did we just say something that's another fucking joke article? There's a lot of joke. I hate it now. It's too easy to make fake news now.
Yeah.
So fucking easy. Is that a real one, Andrea, or no?
As far as I know.
All right, we'll say it's real.
It doesn't
We'll say
mean he
it's
was
real.
even fucking it though or anything. It just means he maybe had a heart attack carrying this thing out into a field, and maybe he dressed it like that because he found it amusing.
Yeah,
they kind of paint the portrait that he's like a pervert fucking this thing, but
he could have just been taking pictures of it to send to his friends to laugh about.
right. Like I don't know, people
Out in a field alone.
I don't know. I don't know. I just think that there's been a lot of assumptions made on what this guy was doing, and
Or maybe they aren't assumptions. Maybe they examined his rectum. And,
you've got to roll your
figured it had just been, loosened up
Penetradoed.
a bit. Yeah. Figured it was hanging a little loose.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. I wonder, this picture, I put this article up on the page, obviously, for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think
who's
that's
listening.
the scarecrow.
But this picture they have on the article,
It's a pretty scarecrow.
it is, she's beautiful. But it makes, if that's the one that
I don't think that
he was backing it up on, I just feel like he could have done better.
We
they said
haven't
it
seen
was
a picture
laying
of him.
down, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
He could have been a real dog.
Could have been a dog.
Dog. This fucking sweaty, hairy farmer who wants to fuck him. Jesus
Sheep
Christ.
farmer.
Yeah, I would say he's a
58.
sheep herder,
Fuck some dirty old 58-year-old sheep herder's ass. No.
No.
He has to do this.
couldn't he get a goat
He
to do
had
it or
to.
something though?
No, I don't think so. I think it only works the other way. I think you gotta fuck the goat.
I
Yeah,
think
or-
you can get animals to fuck you.
Well, you could
Ah.
probably I mean, I'm sure you could train. You can train animals to do things.
Yeah,
Is
There's
a goat
girls that
trainable?
like their
I think
dog
they're-
fucks them.
Yeah,
and
I
shit,
think
so
a dog would do it. I was just gonna say. I think a dog will fuck
goats
other
aren't
animals.
that much. Sheep and goats can't be that much far off from a dog, right? Like,
I don't know.
Pigs are pretty close.
yeah, I don't know either, but I'm just thinking like I don't know. It's not
I
like
know
he
most
didn't
of the
have
time
access.
it's people fucking the sheep or the goats.
Right, right.
That's most of the time.
Yeah, you'd probably have to invest a lot of time and energy into getting the animal to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
It would probably be easier just to get on Craigslist in this day and
Yeah,
age.
no, it's easier to just go get a scarecrow.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But so I mean, the thing I wonder is like, you're not looking at the scarecrow while so why even have it be a scarecrow?
That's why I
even
think-
why is it so elaborate?
Yeah,
Why don't you just fucking ram a dildo up there?
That's why I don't think he was actually out there fucking it. I think they're just painting us a
Or some
picture.
joke. What was that?
I was coughing.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they're just painting us a picture of an old pervert to get you to read the story. That's if it's even true.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he has like a whole weird ritual that he's been doing a long time and never got caught. He might be in a
People also
relationship.
get weird, like they get fetishes for like weird objects.
That's
Maybe he
true.
just
Yeah.
fucking really loves the scarecrow.
Yeah, people have actual relationships with inanimate objects. That's a pretty common thing. I mean,
Well,
especially objects that represent people too. I mean, that's for somebody who is probably only speaks to a person every 3 months when he does whatever sheep herders do with another person. He probably has a relationship with this thing.
Hey, if your
what I
Kickstarter
would
thing
guess.
gets going good, get me one of those Japanese
Scarecrows?
love dolls that are like a real girl.
Oh, yeah.
And I will keep posting photos of me out and about in public with it like it's my live girlfriend. If you buy me one of those, like for the next, until someone tells me to stop somehow, like legally, I will get a lot of pictures of me and I don't know, I'll think of a name for her when I get her.
Okay.
And I will it'll be like Matt's beautiful, perfect life in his relationship with his plastic doll. And I'll take it
One of the-
grocery shopping and driving with me, and I'll take little
Do you
picnics.
want a doll or do you want one of those pillows with a girl on?
No. I want one of those life dolls that are like latex skin that you can fuck. They're expensive.
Those are expensive.
That's why I need
All
a
right, we'll take this
Kickstarter
one step
or
at a
whatever.
time.
Yeah, that's a serious thing. That's a couple grand probably.
I look it up. They're not that expensive anymore.
No, they are. I looked at them not too long ago.
They're
with
like $300
my
bucks.
boss, actually. Yeah.
they're $300 right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're really cheap now.
Oh wait, I thought you want like some super like you're not talking like a like robotic kind of thing. Huh?
No, they're just like they just have like plastic bones and then they're just silicone rubber.
okay.
Like
It's just like fucking a dead body.
yeah. But she can you can pose it. Because it has like a posable skeleton, like a giant doll.
All right, we'll work on that for you.
What are they called? Life,
I mean,
life dolls? I'll find
Japanese sex dolls. I don't know.
yeah, that'll do it.
I don't know. I forgot how I looked this up last year and they were getting a lot cheaper and I am sick. I admit it. I was like, I would fuck that. I was like, I'm a lonely person.
So this isn't about taking pictures with the doll at all, is it?
That's
That's
where
how
that
he's gonna pay
started.
for
I
it.
started thinking about, like I said, I was like, I would fuck. And then I was like, you know what? I would actually take it out and make people think like that I'm that weird. And I was like, that would be a great set of photos. And then it got, like I
It
said,
really would.
it started off with me thinking about would I actually fuck one of those, but then it just went to I don't care whether I would or not. I just really
I
want
want to
the
make it
doll.
an actual girlfriend.
And I want to, I want to
Get an
take it
honest
out,
woman out of it.
right, and just see the reactions of the public, and I just think a photo set of like me out at places, like me at a restaurant with this fucking doll, me like at a picnic that I set out in the woods with my fucking weird doll, like I don't know.
I've got a top quality real silicone sex doll, life-size silicone sex doll Japanese for $3,093.50.
I was seeing ones that were shipped from China that were like 300, 400.
Well, here's one for 800, but it doesn't look very good.
I can't see that from here.
No, it looks
No,
like
we want to
these
get you a
look
nice
good.
we're gonna want at least $1,500.
Yeah, we want to get you a nice
These
one.
looked good. No, yeah, these looked really good.
Yeah,
It was some Chinese
My
website.
Maddie's not going to be out with some
Yeah, it's got to look somewhat like
C-rate fucking
Yeah.
sex doll.
No,
We're
it's
going
gotta
to
be
get you
somewhat.
the real thing.
Let's solve your unsolved mystery first, and then we'll
How about this? You choose. Do you want to find out if your dad was murdered or get a sex doll?
Well, I mean, of course I'm gonna go with sex doll there, but like, I'm willing to shoot for my father's murder thing first because that's not gonna cost as much.
Okay.
And so it's like a test run for the
sex
funding
doll
stuff.
will solve a murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
If that
gotcha.
goes well, then we get a sex doll for me.
This is
All right.
exciting, dude.
Yeah,
We're going to come back with our progress on Thursday for everybody.
I'm really looking forward to that.
yeah, me too.
I can't believe you waited this long to tell us you have a murder mystery in
I
your
know.
family.
How long have we known you?
It might not be. Let's not get out
Yeah, all right.
ahead of
No,
ourselves.
but
yeah.
I mean, it's probably the most like I'm an
very
open
strange.
book. I'm an open book to everyone. You know, I am not. I have no secrets, but that's probably pretty personal, and it doesn't not the kind of thing that just rolls off the tongue when you hang
guess
out with
that's
people.
true.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and by the way, I think my dad might not have commit suicide. I think it might have been a murder.
Well, now you've been here enough. People know you on the show, and they can open up about the
Absolutely.
Yeah.
about the nitty gritty.
Right. I don't mind.
All right. Well, thanks for sitting in with us tonight.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it,
Yeah, it's a
Andrea.
pleasure to have you.
Andrea, excellent job this evening.
Absolutely.
Finger guns.
To our listeners, thank you very much. This has been the Sunday Evening Overdose for April 5th into the 6th, 2015. It has been our pleasure
I do.
to entertain you. I do. And as always, fuck you, Patrick, you fucking pussy.